The NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com has officially begun. It's all in control of Brad Davies in that 11 machine. Green flag flies. He's damn near banged up though. Now the 93 is going to push the 4 of Brian Day all the way up the wall. 4 wide down the super stretch point in the front. And now the 93, 39, the 3 machine goes around. Big trouble in the back. It's going to be the race for the win up front.
Look behind him. They're 3 and 4 wide, trying to make a push to the front as the field gains speed in turn number 1. Kenny Humphrey, if he can rip it back to the start-finish line, will win here at Daytona.
7 laps to go. As you love it.
Here we go.
You love it. The 1 gets around. The 5 gets around. Big jump.
The road to $10,000 runs through the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 300 miles to run this evening in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. This is round number 6 on the series. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens, and Joe Cortez here to call all the action for you. And gentlemen, what we saw 2 weeks ago was exciting. We had a battle for the lead that turned a little bit fiery between teammates. And now we head to the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Tony, it's 300 miles. Anything can happen here this evening, and it's under the lights. It's going to make things even more exciting.
Exactly, Tim. The longest race we will run all season. 300 miles, 200 laps at Charlotte, and that's one of those extra challenges that makes this race so much harder is the distance. It's hard enough to try to wrangle one of these behemoth machines around this racetrack at average speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour. The pole speed tonight, 203.6 average speed for the pole sitter. It is going to be a fast night, and with all that extra speed, Joe Cortez, comes a little bit more treachery. Things might get a little bit more hair-raising on each end of the racetrack tonight.
Yeah, I think you said it best right there. If what we saw 2 weeks ago was any indication of what was coming tonight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway, then we're going to be in for a very, very interesting night. Apparently new build, new tire model with these cars. We learned about how it works last week. This week, we're really going to see it applied at a 1.5 mile track, something we have not seen before yet with this group. These guys are going to be hungry, these guys are going to be aggressive, and these guys are going to be ready to do battle in the longest race we have in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing. Ray Alfalla is on the pole here. Guys, he has not won a regular season race here. Guys who have won, though, guys named Joey Brown, Nick Ottinger, and guess where they start? Second and third, right behind the two-time champ.
And then starting in 4th tonight, you're going to have Chad Lawton, who is your point leader heading into this evening's racing action by 2 points over Ray Alfalla. And then you look down the point standings. Kenny Humphrey came on the top of the season. He was strong. He falls to 4th in the standings after Pocono 2 weeks ago. He had an incident with Danny Hansen in the second half of that race. So he falls to 4th. Jake Sturgis is 3rd in the point standings. What a great season so far for Jake. 1 win, very strong this season, and looking like could possibly be a championship contender. Too early to tell in this season. There's still that stretch at the end of the season where we're going to have a few races where you cannot drop a finish. In the first few races of this season, you can drop that one worst finish to put toward your point standings. So Jake Sturgis right now looking fairly good in 3rd in the standings. Nick Ottinger 5th. Brian Blackford having a great season as well. Mike Conti, 2 weeks ago, he was your winner. He's 7th in the standings. Brad Davies, Tom Lewandowski, and Brandon Cattell complete your top 10 in the standings. And then look at 11th place as well, Tony. Brian Day has had a solid season, came up from the Pro Series. He's still going to run the Pro Series if he doesn't lock himself into the top 20 in this series. And as we mentioned, still about a third of the way through this season. He's looking pretty good right now. He's just got to continue what he started in the first 5 races.
He does, Tim, and it's been a really good season for him. And tonight, I think for Brian Day, going to be a little bit extra special for him. His sponsor, Plan B Sales, they are actually based right here in the Concord area. So this is kind of a marquee event for them, given it is Speed Weeks in Charlotte. This, of course, part of that. All the festivities going around Charlotte, and you know that the entire group from Plan B Sales is going to be watching Brian Day. And certainly I would say he's one of the nominees for probably Rookie of the Year so far, if I had to take a bet. Obviously, Kenny Humpy has had a very good season, this being his first year in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. But really a couple of people impressive that have made the move so far this season, Joe. And I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think that's really good boding for future seasons as drivers continue to try to move up.
Well, every year we say it, and every year we talk about it. The competition gets better every year, the talent gets better every year, and the talent pool gets a whole lot deeper every year. I think this year you're definitely seeing it play out on the track, you're seeing it play out off the track, and you're seeing it play out throughout the marquee events here at Charlotte. And I think for a lot of guys, you touch on Brian Day and Plan B Sales. There's a lot of guys who feel like this is kind of their home track. This is kind of the home track of NASCAR. If you could pinpoint it down to one stadium, that would be NASCAR's home stadium. That would be, the place to go. Everyone would tell you, Charlotte Motor Speedway. So there's a lot of guys, I think, who are very excited about this race, who are very excited to be a part of this race, and ultimately try to put their name up at the top of the board to join some legendary names, or some names that are growing more and more legendary in this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Guys like Richard Towler, who won the inaugural race here back when it was the DWC. Guys like Nick Ottinger, who won guys like Joy Brown, who won last year. Guys like Nick Ottinger, who won the All-Star race and is a previous winner here. There's a lot of guys who want to make a name here, and I think that name runs in some way, shape, or form through Charlotte Motor Speedway. Let's talk about the weather real quick out here, guys. At the mile and a half at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Should be a great night for racing. 74 degrees down trackside with a nice gentle breeze coming out of the southeast at 5 miles per hour. Relative humidity about 2/3, so it's going to be a little moist down there for these drivers. More importantly, it's going to be a little bit moist for those engines. It's going to be very interesting to see how they adjust the power plants to make it work here at Charlotte.
And when you look at some of the drivers that are looking to make that big splash, we mentioned Joey Brown last year, really came out of the box strong and won this race and really put himself on the map as a contender in this series. He starts second this evening, but how about a guy like a Matt Busa or a Danny Hansen? PJ Sturgis has a great qualifying run. Those guys are going to start 5th, 6th, and 7th this evening. Brian Day is up there in 8th as well. Rob Ackley in the 22 is going to start 10th this evening. There are a lot of guys here that could potentially score their first NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series victory at this racetrack this evening in this 6th race that we've run in the 2014 campaign. But Tony, is Joe mentioned, you have to hold off a guy like Ray Alfalla and Nick Ottinger. Brian Schoenberg and Mike Conti have always been strong here. They're starting 15th and 16th. I hope they Tony, I hope they put things aside. I talked to Brian Schoenberg the night after the Pocono race, and he had said that him and Conti really didn't talk. They've had a week and a half between the last time I talked to Brian and now. I hope they put things aside, because if not, it could get very interesting very quickly starting 15th and 16th.
It really could, and you know how race car drivers are. They like to hold on to things. And it might not be something that they act on this week, but, a month, 2 months down the road, Brian Schoenberg might feel there's some payback owed to Michael Conti, and when Michael has forgotten about it, boom, here it comes. Hard to really say. Now, one thing that we can bet on, those guys could be side by side for a while, Tim, because as we saw in the All-Star race 1 week ago, this racetrack with this car and this new tire, essentially, it was fantastic, Joe. Side by side for the lead, for 3rd, for 5th. I mean, there were times we had 6 and 7 cars all in a pack running side by side. You could pass, you could repass. It was probably one of the best shows we have seen in an extremely long time. And looking at practice tonight, it wouldn't surprise me if we see something similar later this evening.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least. When we at the Tricky Triangle 2 weeks ago, you just saw how fast this package is, how fast this car is, how aerodynamic this car is, and it makes for some very fun racing. 2 wide, 3 wide. We may not see 3 wide here at Charlotte, though it's entirely possible. You never want to count anything out when you come to the mecca of motorsports here in Concord. But we are definitely going to see 2 wide racing. And what I'm really excited to see is just how this new package, how this new build works here at the mile and a half track, because this is really going to be a diagnostic for some tracks that we have coming up in the series. Places like Atlanta, places like Chicagoland. places like Homestead, Miami. This is really going to be a diagnostic to see what the car can do on a mile and a half and how they can react and how they get these things set up to really show some speed in a couple weeks. It all starts tonight at Charlotte.
We're going to step away for just a few moments' time. We will bring you back to the grid and the start of the Charlotte 300 at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Welcome back to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, round number 6 of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com. We're getting ready to go racing in just a few moments' time. Cars will begin to grid here, and once they do, Ray Alfalla and Joey Brown will be on the front row. Ray Alfalla puts up a time of 26:51 to put him P1.
That's 203.6 miles per hour for the pole. Joe, this could very well be the fastest race we've ever seen in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
And how crazy would that be? The longest race being the fastest race. There's a little bit of irony to it, but it's going to mean we're going to have arguably the most exciting racing you're going to see all year here at Charlotte.
And be sure to check out the iRacing.com Indy 500 Friday and Saturday. We'll get to that a little bit later on throughout the broadcast as well. We mentioned the front row. Row number 2 is the 05 of Nick Ottinger to his outside point leader, 26, Chad Lawton.
Matt Busa in the 34 starts 5th, and to his outside, the 32 of Danny Hansen.
PJ Sturgis, 57, starts 7th. The Plan B Sales Machine of Brian Day, the 4, starts 8th.
Completing your top 10 is the 47 of Chris Overland to his outside, 22, Rob Ackley.
Kenny Humpy in the Reese Tow Power Machine. Going to roll off in the 11th spot. 12th is Brad Davies in the 11th.
Robert Hall in the 30 starts 13th. Outside of him, it's a 16 of Tom Lewandowski, 14th.
Oh, it's the teammates. Michael Conti starts on the inside of the next row to the outside. His teammate in the double nickel, Brian Schoenberg.
Kevin King, the winner the last time we raced on a mile and a half for points, starts 17th. Brandon Bowie alongside him.
Brandon Schmidt, the 3, starts 19th, and outside of him, the 3-wide Daly, Byron Daly, that is. The number 93 machine starts 20th.
Michael J. Johnson and Stephen Gilbert, your next row.
Adam Gilliland and Ashley Miller make up row 12.
Row 13 belongs to Alex Scribner on the inside, Justin Bolton on the outside.
Andrew Fash, the 3rd, rolls off 27, 28, Josh Lawton.
Trey Eidson and Cody Bias make up 29th and 30th, respectively.
Row 16 belongs to Brian Blackford, the 33 on the inside, Landon Harrison on the outside.
Defending champ in Provisional Land, it's the 01 of Tyler Hudson to his outside and 34th, Alex Warren.
Brad Mahar starts 35th, and Peter Bennett rolls the 69 in 36th.
Jake Sturgis will start the 41 in position number 37. Outside of him, Brandon Hawk, the 53, starts 38th.
Completing your 41-car field is Brandon Hoff, Mitchell Hunt, and Kwame Ajay. The 43 car going to start shotgun on the field. The first racing Ford Mustang pace car getting ready to head to the infield, and we are getting ready for green for the first of 200 laps. Pace car in, and Ray Alfalla is gone. Green flag flies. We are underway. Watch Ottinger on the inside. Ottinger going to look for second. on the 12 with Joey Brown early.
Ottinger down to the bottom underneath of Joey Brown, and it's almost like Nick Ottinger has an agenda here tonight, guys. It's almost like he feels the mile and a half's owe him one after what happened in Texas about a month or so ago. And I guess if you're going to have that type of mentality, there's nothing better to do than start up front and try to win this race, or at least lead this race from the outset. As we watch now this race further back behind you, Jamie Hansen and Matt Busa now stuck on the outside.
Busa's still stuck on the outside there as he tries to figure out what he's going to do to get back in. Now here comes the 57 of PJ Sturgis. Sturgis is going to also have a little bit of help from that 47 machine belonging to Chris Overland, trying to get around these 34 Busa. Busa gets under, gets low, cuts off the bleeding early, and now we have a battle for position number 2. Had a battle going that way, and Joey Brown picks it off. Now battle for 3rd as Nick Ottinger gets passed by Chad Lawton.
Chad Lawton quickly moving up to position number 3. About your top 8 or so are single file. PJ Sturgis, first driver side by side. He's stuck on the outside as the 58 of Kenny Humpy. Going to look to the inside, going to try to follow Chris Overland through on the inside of PJ Sturgis. Tony, great qualifying run for the 57, but it's not looking like the NX 57 is staying there for long because he's got the freight train underneath him.
He's got a whole line of cars lined up ready to take advantage of him, but this is what we saw 1 week ago. The outside lane can work here at Charlotte, and so far PJ Sturgis is doing a really good job of making it work for him. Fighting back on the outside of Kenny Humpy as Humpy now gets a little bit of an advantage and just enough now. Yes, Sturgis will in fact slide in line, and that's one of the cool things here tonight, Joe, is we may see guys get knocked out of their preferred line, but because this racetrack seems to be so competitive with these cars and so equal on both top and bottom, that somebody like a PJ Sturgis might not be done for if they get stuck out of their preferred line.
Speaking of equality, we're about to see it at the lead as Joey Brown is now all over the back bumper of the blue deuce of Ray Alfalla. Now you see the 12 trying to get underneath the 2. Joey Brown trying to lead his first laps of the evening, and he will capture them with ease around Ray Alfalla. Joey Brown won this race last year. He wants to make it 2 for 2 here at Charlotte.
So up in front, the 2 car of Ray Alfalla will lose the point to the 12. Joey Brown, will see if Brown now can pull away or if Ray Alfalla will keep him in sight. Chad Lawton in 3rd continues to close with Ottinger and Danny Hansen completing your top 5. Hansen having a solid run early in this one in the 32 car. You ride with Ray Alfalla there trying to catch that number 12 of Joey Brown. For the most part, Tony, most of these drivers are single file throughout your top 15. Brandon Schmidt had a moment a couple of laps ago. He fell about 5 positions down the back straightaway and could have been bigger if that moment ended up in the wall.
It could have, and speaking of moments, there's one trying to happen here between Michael J. Johnson and Adam Gilliland and an entire host of cars. Ashley Miller is a lap down right now holding this group up, and they are stacked 2, sometimes 3 deep back here from about 20th spot on back. It's getting really weary with the Ashley Miller car, Joe. Miller came out of the pits right after the start and was not able to make the start of the race, and that's why he lost the lap. So right now he's holding on, hoping for an early caution, possibly to get back on the lead lap as things up front. We're closer to the front, also stacking up Chris Overland, Kenny Humpy, all in a battle. PJ Sturgis, Robert Hall, and Brad Davies among the ones locked in this tussle in turns 3 and 4.
Chris Overland, Kenny Humpy able to get out of the Hornet's Nest, but now more problems in the Hornet's Nest as the 34 Matt Busa seems to have some electrical issues out there. Brad Davies will hook up with Michael Conti to try to get around him. The 34 might just be kind of dropping to the back out here to see if those electrical issues will settle out in his car, opening up the door for the likes of PJ Sturgis. Brian Schoenberg, who's now 2 car lengths away from his former buddy Michael Conti. They're going to get some distance between them, and then back among that group, you can see Conti. See a double wide ahead of him, the 47, trying to fight off the 58. Chris Overland will lose a position. Kenny Humpy will now move up to position number 6.
And Overland trying to find a spot in the line. Robert Hall not going to let him have it easy. The 47 of Overland, I believe, will find the line here. Robert Hall backs off just a little bit behind them. Brad Davies in the 11 is on the outside line, or went up towards the wall in corner number 3. He gets back into line. Looks like everybody else is status quo for the time being. You watch the 5 of Mike Conti work over the number 30 of Robert Hall as they go into corners number 1 and 2. Your leader continues to be Joey Brown over Ray Alfala, and it looks like it's a 3-horse race up in front, Tony, because Chad Lawton has ran down your top 3, and those 3 have pulled away by about a second and a half over Nick Ottinger.
And pretty impressive by Chad Lawton to reel these guys in as far back as he was. Now he's just mere car lengths away from the lead. And something we were told just a week ago, Tim, that tires here in this new tire model last at Charlotte about 30 to 35 laps. And Joe, after that, drivers told us it completely changes. If you're going to get anything, you have to get it early and then simply hold on for dear life till you get the pit road. And that might be what some of the guys up front are trying right now, to just maximize everything in the opening part of the run.
Which I think is great. It's a great strategy if your name is Chad Lawton, Ray Alfala, or Joey Brown as they continue to run single file through this field. But what if you're Nick Ottinger? What if you're Danny Hansen, who's a second and a half behind? What if you're Kenny Humphrey, for that matter? What if you're Brian Schoenberg, who's looking for a little bit of vengeance after that? What if you're Kevin King, now stuck in the 15th in car number 29 out there? You don't have that liberty. Right now, I think you're just riding around trying to see what this tire model is going to do as they continue to run laps here around Charlotte Motor Speedway. And then when they do come in around lap 35, around lap 40, whenever they will come in for new tires, that's when we're going to start seeing what exactly they're going to do and what that strategy is. Keep this in mind as well. With these tires getting a lot older and getting a lot worn down in a hurry here, faster than many other tracks, it is going to change strategy, and it is going to change how and when we see yellow flags. And I got a feeling we're going to see at least a couple tonight.
You look back at the main performance PC number 55 of Brian Schoenberg. That is position number 11 for the 55, looking up at Robert Hall, Brad Davies, and Mike Conti, his teammate up there. A couple of spots ahead of him in position number 8 right now. They come across the line, 16 laps completed of the 200 to run here this evening at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's Joey Brown, Ray Alfala, and Chad Lawton continuing to be up front. The 16 car nearly has a moment. That's Thomas Lewandowski in the RCRL Ford Fusion as he has to hold off Kevin King in the number 29, and the host of drivers behind him, Brandon Schmidt, trying to regain what he lost a little bit earlier, Tony.
Trying, Tim, but sometimes it's easier to do that over the course of a longer run. Schmidt now to the inside. Look at him. He thought about sticking his nose on the outside of King, but he wasn't clear of Lewandowski and decided just to stay on the bottom. Probably the wiser of the two decisions that he could have made there. Brandon Bowie in the middle of that battle as well. Bowie currently being credited in the 17th spot. Look who else has joined the party. Byron Daly, the intelligence machine. He's wheeling that thing off turn number 4. This is a big race for him as well. Obviously, Charlotte, pretty much his home now, as he's a student at UNC Charlotte, just about 10 minutes down the road from where the racetrack sits. One of his sponsors, actually a couple of his sponsors, Newtelligence for one, and Parker Kligerman, obviously living in Charlotte, good friend of Byron Daly, and his other sponsor, Driven Steering Wheels, really breaking in the international steering wheel market. They too based in Charlotte, so this is a really cool race for them as well.
They call it the Mecca of Motorsports for a reason, and you really start to see that all come together when you talk about just how many companies are up there. Caution out for the first time tonight. I'm trying to figure out where exactly it's coming around. It looks like it's going to be the 01 and 69 getting together in turn number 1.
Champion involved as the Tyler Hudson machine gets a gear and gets going again. The 23 and 53 also going. Brandon Hawk appears to have the biggest damage in this one, Tony, because that car is dog tracking big time, but I believe it started with the 01 and the 69, and Peter Bennett, Tyler Hudson fighting for the same piece of real estate, and it looks like Tyler may have left a half lane there for the 69. He stuck the nose in, and then the all heck broke loose.
I don't even know if I'd say the nose was even stuck in, Tim. It was maybe the front decal. That's about all there was, and probably not the wisest of places to stick it in there on the part of Peter Bennett, but he made the decision nonetheless. Tyler didn't realize he was there quick enough, and into the outside wall both those cars went. Also took out Brandon Hawk in the number 53 machine, the RacerBoost.com entry. I know his sponsor, Racer Boost, also here in Charlotte. They were looking forward to a great run. and the 23 of Brandon Hoff in it, as well as the 82 of Alex Warren, as Joe looks like pit stops ensuing for most everyone.
Joey Brown doing now the attention of his crew. Ray Alfalla, Chad Lawton, Nick Ottinger, Kenny Humpy, basically everybody on that lead group is going to continue come down pit road to the attention of their crews. Joey Brown in the number 12 machine. Let's follow him as he has the first pit, second pit stall. He barely makes it in the pit stall. It's going to be 2 outside tires for the 12 of Joey Brown. Will it be a 4-tire stop? That's the big question. Yes, it will be. And all of his neighbors taking 4 tires as well. Joey Brown, the first one to drop the jack. He is down and away. After 4 new Goodyears, he will be first off pit road. Ray Alfalla, Chad Lawton, Nick Ottinger knocks the cone over, and they will come out for the most part the same way they came in.
Yeah, Ottinger cleaned the cone out with his Rheem Camry, but I believe the cone will be okay. I believe we'll put him back, and he'll be surviving another round of pit stops. But nevertheless, clean round of pit stops by the looks of it here for your front runners. A couple of drivers stayed out. Actually, one driver stayed out. That's Brandon Hawk, and he's got a ton of damage to the RacerBoost.com number 53. And when you look back at that wreck, Tony, the 82 of Alex Warren, you have to give him props. Number one, because he's got a new sponsor on the car. It's PC Computer Pros on the 82 car. And when he was going through that wreck, the cars came up to the outside. Alex Warren had nowhere to go. He slowed up for the wreck. I believe it was the 23 behind him that did not. He went for a slide in corners 1 and 2. And he could have ended up in the fence. He did not. He's missing a little bit of sheet metal on the back of that race car, but it could have been a lot worse than it was after getting punted going down into corner number 1. Great piece of driving to keep it off everybody else and everything else.
Yeah, Brandon Hoff didn't get slowed down quick enough and got in the back of Alex Warren, and as you said, Tim, pretty substantial damage to the back of that 82 machine. But the good news is for Alex Warren that he didn't really hit anything with the front of the car. So the aerodynamics, at least on the leading edge, are just a little bit better than probably what they could have been. And a great piece of driving again by Alex Warren.
But as you talk about strategy earlier there, Tony, this is exactly this entire caution, this entire incident was caused by that hard, aggressive driving you were talking about. Guys thinking they have to get what they can now, otherwise they might lose out. That ultimately caused this first caution flag out here. So the question is, what happens from here on out? Will these guys be a little bit more cautious as they continue? Or are we going to see more of that, I'm going to get mine, I'll get mine, don't worry about his? We'll have to find out.
These drivers took a quick stop. We're going to take one here. We're going to preview the new IndyCar and stuff that you'll see on Friday night here on PSR TV. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And be sure to check out the iRacing.com Indy 500 coming up here on Friday evening on PSR TV. Going to be exciting to see that brand new IndyCar do its thing at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Speaking about doing its thing, the 12 of Joey Brown is set to take the green flag. Ray Alfalla will line up to his outside. Chad Lawton, Nick Ottinger and Kenny Humpy, your top 5. Pace car is in, and Joey Brown about to be on the hammer. Here he goes. Green flag flies, and watch the 26 of Chad Lawton. Can he get to the inside of Ray Alfalla? Alfalla slams the door in the trioval.
And in fact, now Ottinger thought about getting to the bottom, and here comes Mike Conti now, as well as Kenny Humpy trying to join the party. So guys getting a little dicey early. In fact, Alfalla now looks for the lead on Joey Brown. Couldn't quite take it away. They'll work off into turn number 3, and here comes Humpy underneath of Ottinger for the 4th spot. Brad Davies is in tow as well, Joe.
Side by side, they continue runs across the start-finish line to complete lap number 25 of 208. An eighth of a race out here done, as now we have a change for position number 2, maybe even position number 3, as Ray Alfalla will go high, yields the door open to Chad Lawton. Michael Koenig will come along for the ride as well. Alfalla drops from 2nd to 4th.
And he'll find a spot in the line here, right in front of Kenny Humpy in the 58, just behind Humpy. It's side by side between Davies and the 05 of Ottinger. And the 47 of Oberlin has been looking the last couple of laps, Tony, and he's been looking in the trioval right around that point where Peter Bennett and Tyler Hudson had their moment a few laps ago. Oberlin being a little bit aggressive here as they go down the back straightaway, and I think that may be one car looking to the inside of the 47. That's the 55 of Brian Schoenberg, and we talked about excitable drivers. There's 2 right there that could put on a show if Sparks fly.
Sparks could fly. And there was a report underneath that ladder, under that ladder, yellow, that possibly a little bit of issues for the 55 driver. Not so much the car, but maybe a little bit of vertigo or in-car sickness, some sort of something. But Brian Schoenberg was reporting getting a little bit dizzy behind the wheel of that machine, as they were 3 wide there a moment ago, further back in the pack. They got that all sorted out. But Brian Schoenberg, a driver to watch, I think, tonight, Joe, for maybe a couple of reasons. 1, to make sure he could stay 100% in the seat, and 2, probably because he'll be a threat before this thing is over with.
Right behind the 55 machine, 2 drivers continue to battle it out. It'll be the 57 PJ Sturgis and the 32 of Danny Hansen. The Pro Geek Consulting Ford Fusion gets the pass after the 57, gets a little swirly on the back straightaway. So he scored. PJ Sturgis now just outside the top 10. Danny Hansen will get into the top 10. And your top 10 guys, all single file. You're going to have to go all the way back to about 14. Then we'll see a battle for position, and that's Byron Daly now trying to get on the back bumper of Kevin King.
On that outside line, Kevin King trying to pick up a couple of spots. They just shuffled Brandon Lee in line in the 54, the 8 of Adam Gilliland to the inside. I believe Cody Bias going to try to follow him through as well. The 34 of Matt Musa ran well early in this race, and now he's back outside the top 15. He tries to gain some more positions, and Mitchell Hunt is there as well in the 19 car as he tries to get up there 3 wide possibly, as Lewandowski tries to stick it to the inside. This could be big going into corner number 3. They almost have a little bit of contact, and Busa is somehow going to come out with the spot.
So Busa, the victor in that particular battle in this war. And also a note from Matt Busa, we talk a lot of times about warp, about lag, about the different factors that affect the virtual racetrack as opposed to the physical one. And Matt Busa, his physical location right now, experiencing some weather issues and some telecommunications issues, Joe. And that means that car might not be quite as stable as maybe it should be on the racetrack. Might flash in and out, might warp as we call it. And that's the reason Matt Busa has dropped back. But up front, dropping back and having issues, that's not Chad Lawton, because he now, Joe, has made his way to the front of the field.
Chad Lawton, the 26, is now in front of the field and is starting to check up behind him. Let's run in car with the 12 of Joey Brown machine. Of Joey Brown, as you see him getting loose off 2, now getting loose off 4, crossing the start-finish line. Joey Brown loses that lead to Chad Lawton. Chad Lawton doing everything he can to hold on and start to break away from the field. Joey Brown looks like he's got the yips taken care of in that machine. He's going to continue to ride right along the rear end of that number 26 Toyota. Michael Conti, Ray Alfalla, Kenny Humpy, though, they're not terribly far behind. And look who's joined the party as well, another former Charlotte Motor Speedway winner, Brad Davies.
And you look up front, there's one valuable bonus point for Chad Lawton to lead that lap, and here comes Ray Alfala now to the inside of Michael Conti to try to take position number 3 away from the 5, the 58, and the 11, trying to follow suit through. The 05 and the 47 within striking distance as well. The back up front, Brown, once again on the 26 of Chad Lawton, trying to keep him honest up there as Alfala going to try to slide and take position number 3 away from the 5 of Mike Conti. Two interesting battles right now up in front of this field, and now Humpy goes to the inside of Mike Conti, or at least tries to push Ray a little bit further ahead to try to get himself one more spot.
And just like we saw, as you see this replay now, the pass for the top spot, exactly how Chad Lawton got around Joey Brown. But the top side, again, very, very strong here tonight. It's not given up like we've seen in the past at so many racetracks. You can, at the very least, you can hold serve up top. You can maintain what it is that you have up there, but we've yet to really see anybody make a bonsai move or an attaboy pass at the top. However, Joe, we have seen the top be able to hold positions, just not necessarily take them, if that makes sense.
Certainly makes sense. Someone trying to take position right now is a driver of that 32 machine. That is Danny Hansen trying to get around the 47 of Chris Overland. That's position number 9, and it sounds like there is some contact made between the 32 and 47. Nonetheless, Danny Hansen back in 9th, Chris Overland back in 10th. BJ Sturgis, Brandon Schmidt, they're on the hunt right now. Schmidt's actually going to duck down underneath the 57 of Sturgis. Dispatches him with ease. Brandon Schmidt might be a man on a mission tonight.
Schmidt trying to move up here a little bit closer to the top end. The 2 and the 58 still going at it as Kenny Humpy trying to get Ray Alfala for that spot. It looks like it's calmed down for the moment at least. The 12 continues to chase the 26 up in front, and it looks like they've gapped third place by about a half second right now, Tony, as Mike Conti is pulling away from Ray Alfala, or at least by a car length or so in that last lap. 39 laps completed.
Yeah, it looks like Ray Alfala's car very good on the short run, and it's kind of like what we saw in the All-Star race last week. Now, the All-Star race was a fixed setup race. However, Ray Alfala still faded as the runs went on. Nick Ottinger and a couple of others got stronger as the runs went on. So I'm starting to wonder if maybe that's a characteristic of the driver in that 2 car, not so much the setup, and maybe Ray Alfala might need to do a little something to make sure that car has something left at the end, as now Kenny Humpy giving a little bit of chase to the 2 cars looking to the inside off turn number 2. Looks like Humpy now going to have something for Ray Alfala in 3.
Humpy looking down low, Ray Alfala going high. We know Alfala can depend on that high line, but without any help up there, it is going to be the long way around the track. Humpy gets around him with ease. Move the Reese tow power machine to position number 4. Still doing battle, though, with Ray Alfala. He's not done yet. Brad Davies trying to start moving him back, as well as Brad Davies, the 11 machine, tried it in turns 1 and 2. Couldn't make it happen. Davies will get back in line, and Alfala stops the bleeding at position number 5.
So Alfala will try to hold off Brad Davies in the number 11. Davies now to the inside of the number 2 of Alfala, side by side for position number 5. Ottinger looking back there as well, trying to pounce should something happen with these 2 in front of him. Davies trying to creep up there into the top 5. Little bobble for Alfala on the outside line in corner number 2, but it will be Davies that takes the spot, and the 05 to the inside will look to pick up one more on Ray Alfala.
So top 5 now kind of settled out with Davies moving into 5th, and here comes Nick Ottinger getting by Ray Alfala. And look who else is going to try to join the party here, guys. Danny Hansen in the back there, Brian Schoenberg, also a threat now to work his way a little bit further forward, Chris Overland. And this is kind of uncharacteristic of Ray Alfala to fall this quickly at this juncture of a run. Maybe something amiss with the Sim Pedals machine, Joe.
Maybe something very much amiss with that machine. Meanwhile, the 57 machine of BJ Sturgis has dropped like a rock through this field. He was competing around the top 10 position. He's now all the way back to position number 17. Lost 6 positions through that time by. And BJ Sturgis not happy with that machine. He is being a little bit of trouble out there. He might be looking at another yellow flag. as he might need to make some adjustments or maybe switch out some of those tires out there. In front of him, more battles going on. It's the 3 and 93 now side by side.
And here comes Byron Daly to the inside, looking to pick up that spot on the 3, trying to open the door maybe for the 19. The 3 tried to close the door, not a good idea. 19's there. He picks up one spot. PJ Sturge is going to pick up one more too, and Brandon Schmidt, you're going to have another moment, going to fall back a few more spots here on lap number 46. Kevin King was getting fairly aggressive a couple laps ago as well, Tony, just in front of this field. I believe he and Brandon Schmidt may have had a little bit of swapping paint a few laps ago, which started Brandon Schmidt's fall through the field as Kevin King runs in P11. Your leader coming up on some lap traffic now, as I believe that may have been the 23 car that went a lap down there. It's getting exciting though for position number 2 because Joey Brown has company. Mike Conti and Kenny Humpy are there for that second place spot.
They are there, and you know Mike Conti would love to do nothing more than to go back-to-back at Pocono and Charlotte. He's done a fantastic job so far, guys, of driving his way through the field. This could be one more spot for him. Well, maybe not. Joey Brown tempts fate and tests Mike Conti's patience just a little bit. Cuts down a crossing as they work through 3 and 4. And now Conti will settle back into the 3rd spot. But Conti, as I was saying, he's driven all the way up 15th spot, Joe. We're only a quarter of the way through this race. I think Mike Conti could have a very, very stout race car, even though it wasn't the best time trial machine.
Sometimes you don't need to set up for the time trial, you need to set up for the long run, and it looks like that's what Conti is trying to do here tonight at Charlotte. Conti's going to try once again to go around the 12 of Joey Brown. He does so with some success. Yes, he's going to make the pass clean through turn number 2. Now on the backstretch, Michael Conti technically in position number 2. And it looks like Kenny Humpy's going to come along for the ride as well. Joey Brown doing everything he can to hold off, to fight him off through turns 3 and 4. Caution on the field.
93 of Byron Daly involved in this one, and Byron was coming through the field, and he's going to shorten it up on the front and the back end of the Newtelligence driven steering wheels, number 93. That's not going to be good for the hometown crowd.
And Tim, you go back and you watch the replay here. Byron got a heck of a run on the 23 of Brandon Hoff and just misjudged, and that kind of got the car sideways, and it started an entire chain reaction of events. Very uncharacteristic mistake by Byron Daly to do that, but he kind of got mired deep in the field, and unfortunately for Byron Daly, that means his shot, I think, at victory pretty much gone now, Joe. Had to give him a couple of handfuls of driven steering wheel, no doubt, but I don't think after that thing got out of control, any steering wheel could have helped him save it.
Well, but I think the error is really more on the 16 of Tom Lewandowski. You know, he sees the 93. He's got plenty of time to react to the 93 checking up. He can elect to go low, and by the time he figures out, yeah, maybe we should go low, it's too late. These are plowed right into the back of the 93 machine, as now pit stops starting down on pit road.
You could say the slip angle wasn't right on that move on the number 93 of Byron Daly. The 26 of Chad Lawton is on the pit road right now. He's got right side tires up on his Camry. Going to go for 4 here on the 26. Yes, he will. 4 tires for the Camry. Viper Technologies on board, and they are going to win the race off pit road handily. It's going to be Mike Conti in a second, and I believe Humpy and Brown were dead even. I believe the 58 may have the spot at the line. It was close coming off pit road.
It was tight, Tim. A lot of guys really nailing those stops, and a little bit of shuffling at the front of the field, but I don't think we'll see anything different. The top players still are the top players here as they come off pit road, Joe.
Not a whole lot of changes up front. The top guys, they are still remaining up front in this field. Chad Lawton, Michael Conti, Kenny Humpy, Joey Brown, still in that top group. But got to give a shout to Brad Davies. He's won here before. He knows how to win here, and he's been hanging on to the top 5 all the way through so far this race, and might have something yet as we're just over a quarter of the way through.
Still a long way to go in this race, and I'm sure there's still some drivers that might be in the back half of the top 10 that are saving some things right now for the second half of this event. Chad Lawton comes off pit road first. He'll lead us back to green, contingent on everybody else in front of him being a lap down, and I believe they are. That's the 23 and the 69 that are not on the lead lap at this point, behind the pace car, as the 5 and the 58 will be your top 3 behind Chad Lawton. Let's step away, and we'll be back momentarily with some more green flag racing for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series at Charlotte.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
You got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
The first thing that went through my mind was like, no way. Just be real important to try to figure out how to keep the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump him around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You can come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.
Welcome back. Our coverage of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 53 laps have been completed. Pace car lights are off. And next time by, we'll go green. It's Chad Lawton leading Michael Conti, Kenny Humpy, Joey Brown, Brad Davies, top 5. Nick Ottinger, Ray Alfalla, Brian Schoenberg, Danny Hansen has fallen to 9th. And Chris Overland completes your top 10. And looks like Adam Gilliland is in position number 11 right now, trying to scrounge his way into the top 10. Mitchell Huntsman knocking on the door. He sits 13th behind Kevin King. Brandon Schmidt, Cody Bias complete your top 15, and I believe Cody Bias started way, way back in the field as well. He started in 30th, so there's some drivers, Tony, that are beginning to make their move in the first quarter of this race. We'll see what they can do and where they will be once we hit the next 146 laps or so.
And again, that's almost an entire race in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series. Anywhere else but Charlotte in May. 300 miles. This is a marathon, guys. It's one of the longest nights all year long, and you might be good early, but because there are more chances to work on the car, more chances to tune, it means you have a chance maybe to do something you wouldn't necessarily have a shot to do any other night of the year. Field works across start-finish under the green flag, and no surprise, Chad Lawton jets out to the top spot. Kenny Humpy. Humpy on the bottom of the racetrack gets by Conti, and here comes another former winner here at Charlotte, Brad Davies on the bottom. He doesn't forget how to win here either, looks like, Joe.
It's been a while, but here he goes. He's got the heels on, and he is trying to get that pony moving as fast as he can in the correct direction up there. The number 11 of Brad Davies holding on to position number 4, it looks like, as we go in car with him. He's trying to use that low line to his advantage, and if he can hook up with the 58 of Kenny Humpy, he might get position number 3. Not going to happen, though, as Kenny Humpy goes high, working with the 5 of Michael Conti.
That high side gets that run off the corner, but into the corner, Brad Davies takes the spot over Conti, and now the 12 is looking to the inside of the 5, the 05 and the 2 also in this little train, looking to pounce if the 5 cannot hold that line on the outside line. Here comes Ottinger in the 05 up the racetrack a little bit, and he will maintain the spot. Conti will find a spot in the line, though, as it gets a little hairy going into corner number 3. The 2 pops to the outside.
So Alfalla going to try to run the rim of the racetrack here at Charlotte. Nothing doing yet. Here comes, look behind him, Brian Schoenberg. The double nickel. Looking to maybe cash in. This is working the turn number 1. He'll get his right front underneath the left rear of Ray Alfalla. But Alfalla again, using that high line, takes that momentum and motors down the back straightaway. In fact, here comes Chris Overland now on the outside of Brian Schoenberg. Overland trying to make the first outside pass we've seen all night, Joe. Tags the wall off turn number 4, but Chris Overland looking pretty sportiest. Now battle for 3rd. Joey Brown disposes of Brad Davies for that spot.
Joey Brown picks up position number 3. Let's go back to the 55 as the 47 continues to do battle with him. The 8 of Adam Gilliland still in the mix there. He debated making it go with the rewind down the backstretch. We're going to decide not to go there. Let's go on the rear bumper. You can see just how tight that battle is between the 47 and the 8 and the 55. On paper, it will be the 47 of Chris Overland picking up the position, but now he's got to go through and he's got to follow through on the pass. Easier said than done as the 47 and 55 continue to drive side by side now into the backstretch.
5-car pack here as the 55 and 47 make a little bit of contact. Going down to corner number 3, they exchange a couple of words in the in-game chat. The 8 of Adam Gilliland trying to figure out where he wants to go. The 19 and 32 going to go at it side by side behind them. 5-car little pack, and now the 8 is shuffled to the outside, finds a spot to the inside, and now looks to the inside of Schoenberg. Here comes the 8 of Adam Gilliland to the inside of the 55 of Brian Schoenberg. As Schoenberg going to shut the door, the 8 is going to fall back behind him.
What a wiggle there by Brian Schoenberg. That car just about ended up in the hospital wobble, and somehow he was able to save it, but that allowed Adam Gilliland to maybe get a run on him, and now he'll look to the outside off turn 2. Just about got put in the Kyle Busch style from a couple of years ago in the All-Star race. Luckily, Schoenberg saw him, and now Gilliland, a power move, Joe, on the outside of Brian Schoenberg. It's like things now are sliding backwards and not going the way they were planned from 55 of Brian Schoenberg. Possibly a adjustment that went wrong in that last pit stop.
An adjustment that went wrong, or maybe even a little bit too aggressive driving by the 55 of Brian Schoenberg. Remember, 2 weeks ago, he was looking at the win. He was looking at his first career win, and all of a sudden, he has it taken away. So I've got a feeling the 55's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder out there, and he's going to drive this thing as hard as he can. Checkers or wreckers, it's not going to matter if Brian Schoenberg can't show up in that top group out here tonight. Third caution out on the field tonight, and it looks like it's going to involve the 50 car, who's now on solo spin, and he's on the front stretch all by himself. Third caution flag comes out tonight. Alex Scribner loses it off 4 to bring out the caution flag.
And he didn't hit anything either, Joe. He just came out of corner number 4, and he may have came close to the wall off of 4, and I don't even think he hit that coming off of turn 4 through the tri-oval. So Scribner will grab a gear, get going again, but he will he'll be at the rear of the field when he comes down and catches everybody that is going to be behind the pace car. Chad Lawton is your leader. Kenny Humpy, Joey Brown, Brad Davies, Mike Conti, your top 5. When they came across the stretch the last time by, we'll have 65 laps completed this time by. And Tony, do we see these guys on pit road after that short little run?
I don't know, Tim. I really don't. It's quite possible, but the thing is, we saw in the All-Star race, a few drivers tried 2 tires, thought about 2 tires, and said theoretically it could work after a very short run. We even had a driver try no tires, if memory serves correctly. They come by the pit entrance, and here comes everybody from third. Well, maybe not everybody. Joey Brown is in, Davies, Conti, Overland, Gilliland. Others staying out, including Ottinger, Alfalla, Hansen, Humpy, and Lawton. Here they come, though, Joe. Down at 45 miles an hour. Pit stops ensuing for half of the front runners.
Let's see exactly what this group is going to take. Joey Brown in his stall, so is Chris Overland. Brad Davies has the right sides up. Will it be 4-tire stop for Davies? Yes, it will be, as Rob Ackley pulls in front of him. Chris Overland will make it a 4-tire stop. Brian Day just gets into his stall. Joey Brown's going to make it a full 4-tire stop, and Joey Brown's the first one down and away. Brad Davies isn't terribly far away from him, and Joey Brown knocks over the cone for the second time tonight. Guys, I'm almost wondering if they got a side bet on who can launch that cone the furthest, because that's the second time it's gone flying.
That cone's been having a tough night. One driver that did not come anywhere close to it is Chad Lawton, because he stays out on the racetrack, as does Kenny Humpy, Nick Ottinger, Ray Alfalla, Danny Hansen, Kevin King, Justin Bolton, Brad Mahar, and then it's Joey Brown. So there's about 7 or 8 or so that stayed out on the racetrack, and then everybody else came down onto pit road. Could be very interesting once we do decide to go back to green flag racing. But Chad Lawton, Tony, was an absolute rocket on that last run. Have to see if those guys that did take tires can weave their way through these half dozen or so that stayed out and possibly have something for the 26.
I'll be curious, Tim, no doubt, to see if tires matter that much here. Looks like 7 drivers stayed out, including Lawton, Humpy, Ottinger, Alfala, Hansen, Kevin King even stayed out, and Justin Bolton, the Best Western machine, also stayed out on the speedway. Joey Brown back in 8th, the first driver off pit road. I think for the difference here, guys, if you use your 4 tires up, getting back to where you were in the case of Joey Brown, I think it evens out. Again, we'll find out for sure, but that's kind of what I'm thinking here, Joe. I don't know that 4 tires at this point in the run is going to have a huge benefit.
Well, I mean, I think the variable that these guys are betting on, where they're going to go with that is if they have a long green flag run, which is entirely possible here at Charlotte. If they have that long run, we already talked about at the beginning of the show, you can only go about 35 laps before the tires start to fall off on these Gen 6 cars. So, if they have the long green flag run, the guys who stopped in and got 4 new tires, they're going to be in a much better position than the guys who decide to stay out, because their tires are going to start dropping off sooner rather than later. That's going to force them to change their pit strategy, whereas the guys behind them are already good to go. You're rolling the dice a little bit, you're playing a little bit of strategy, playing the race almost backwards a little bit, but if it works out the way they want to, if they roll the dice and they hit that 7, they're going to be in a whole lot better position.
So we'll come by this time, complete lap number 67. Pace car lights, I believe, will be off here. And some guys moving back through the field. I see Tyler Hudson's back on the lead lap in 32nd place right now. The defending series champion still has some damage to the front end of the Peak Ford, and he's got some work to do in order to get back up through the field. We will have 38 drivers on the lead lap when we go green next time by. The 13 is 2 laps back. Peter Bennett and Brandon Hawk both out of the race. I believe we're going to look in on one of the webcam drivers here, Tony, to get a little bit of an in-car view. We have the 89 of Landon Harrison, I believe, who is in the pit area right now. And I haven't heard from Jordan Hightower to see how his car is running, so we'll have to check in with the crew chief here in a second.
Yeah, that we will. And the cool part about, of course, you see these onboard cameras here, Tim, and you talk about talking to guys, and that's what's neat about this iRacing sim is that you literally can have a team just like you'd have in a physical race car. You've got guys that worry about setups, crew chiefs, spotters, somebody in your ear telling you what's going on. And, of course, you're sitting, while all this happens, you're doing everything at the absolute most authentic replication of the racetrack and in the most authentic replication of a race car that you possibly can. But it's all from the comfort of wherever you choose to be, home, dorm room, office, RV, whatever it is, just with a steering wheel and a computer, and log right in, and it still is probably the most pure form of motorsport today, guys, where you can hop in, you've got equal equipment with everybody, and the only thing that makes the difference is the talent and the people you surround yourself with. Speaking of which, we're surrounding ourselves with fast race cars. Green flags in the air, Joe, here we go, off and running once again. Joey Brown gets by 1 car already, Justin Bolton does not get the speed. Pass for Joey Brown, probably the easiest he's going to see all night.
Chad Lawton remains up front. Kenny Humby in second. Now here comes Nick Ottinger. The resurgence of the Reed Toyota puts him now in position number 3. The Ralph Allen in the 2. The sim pedal machine trying to hold on to that position. Let's go on to the roof cam of the 32 machine. That's Danny Hansen as he rides right behind the 05 Toyota of Ottinger. They're going to try to get a run to make the pass around the 2 of Alfala. And now here comes Joey Brown. You can see as they go 3 wide, almost 3 wide, just how important those new tires are. Joey Brown drops the hammer, drops down low, and he's getting side by side with him like it is nothing. Hey, look who's also in the mix now. Kevin King in the top 10, position number 7. Watch this from this 2x2 in front of him.
Now, the 12 car wasted no time picking up a couple of spots in that restart, and now he's picking up 32 of Danny Hansen. As he continues to get closer to the front of the field, they'll continue to get a little bit harder to pick off, but the 32 of Danny Hansen fighting back on the outside line. Got a great run off corner number 2. The 05 and 2 just in front of them. Ottinger trying to hold off Ray Alfala, trying to keep him to a lane on the inside. The 05 and the 2 nearly make a little bit of contact there. That was pretty close for the 05 clearing down on the 2. The 32 will have to settle for that position, and now the 29 just behind them, Kevin King, trying to hold off the 32 of Danny Hansen on that outside.
So watching now, Hansen, Kevin King, as that all gets sorted out for the time being. And, you know, pretty impressed Joey Brown as he's made his way up 3 spots at least, up to 5th on the back bumper of Ray Alfalla and Nick Ottinger, more or less right where he was before the caution flag. And now as you look at the inside of Alfalla, he might even be 1 spot closer to the front of the field as the top 2 starting to break away just a little bit. Lawton and Humpy. But I don't know if Joey Brown doesn't really have anything for the Oklahoma driver.
Maybe, maybe not. Only time will tell as now a new battle heats up between the 12 and the 2. Joey Brown doing everything he can to get around Ray Alfalla. Alfalla can't hold on the outside. Joey Brown just too strong. He will move up to position number 4. Almost contact between the 32 and the 2 machine. Alfalla, he's trying to hold on out there. He is just struggling as he continues to run up high. Kevin King going to try to take advantage of the misfortune of Alfalla. Alfalla throws the block, and now nose to tail, they go through the front into turns number 1 and 2. The 2 and 29 still fighting.
2 of Ray Alfalla trying to hold off the 29, and if something happens and the 29 can make a move, it might open the door for the guys behind him. But now the 5 of Conti goes to the inside of Kevin King to pick up a spot, or at least try to pick up a spot. They are side by side at a corner number 4. They come across the stripe. It'll be the 5 of Mike Conti, just 2 1/1000ths behind the 29 for that spot. Now the 5 will inch ahead. The 11 of Brad Davies tries to get in here, as will the 8 and Justin Bolton in the 36. Here comes Gilliland to the inside of the 11, looking to pick up 1 more spot and move him to position number 9.
So Gilliland picks up a spot. Look at Justin Bolton here, guys. Despite that staying out strategy, it's working quite well for him, I think. Just outside the top 10 now in the 11th spot, and holding on pretty well to the back bumper of these guys in front of him, as now here goes Gilliland again to the inside of Kevin King, trying to make things happen on the Cooper Standard Ford, and he'll nearly slide up into him off turn number 4. Gives King the advantage now down the front straightaway. Brad Davies looking to take advantage as well as he'll peek to the inside.
As they continue to battle Kevin King. Fighting now, Adam Gillen trying to fight around the number 29 of Kevin King. Kevin King holding him off, but Adam Gillen starting to get hungry out there into turns 3 and 4. They're going to get side by side. 29 and 8 make contact. The 29's forced to hit the brakes, smokes the tires, and the 29 of Kevin King not happy about that move. 3 wide as the 29 has some problems. Now here comes Schoenberg. He will not be denied as he gets around the 29 as well. Kevin King losing easily 4 positions as a result of that contact.
Needless to say, if I was Adam Gilliland, I'd be running for my life right now, because Kevin King might be a very upset individual as the 19 and Mitchell Hunt tries to go underneath the 29 as well. Up in front, though, here comes the 5 of Mike Conti underneath Ray Alfalla in the 2 as they swap the position, and just in front of them, it's getting exciting for not only the lead position, but also for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, as it looks like Kenny Humpy has run down your leader, Chad Lawton, and Lawton trying to hold off the 58 car for the lead position. 80 laps complete, 120 to go here.
Yeah, Lawton's got his hands full, Tim, with Kenny Humpy, kind of like he's had since the start of this stint. But you also have to keep in mind that Lawton and Humpy did stay out. They're about, on a strategy, about 10 laps quicker, or sooner, I should say, than Joey Brown, who's back in the 4th spot. In fact, now Danny Hansen looking underneath it. Joey Brown, that 32 in the 12 machine, working off of turn number 4. Danny Hansen making some noise in that Pro Geek Consulting Ford, and a really good run for Danny Hansen. Something he needs is, Joey Brown doesn't give him a whole lot of room in turn 1, Joe. It's probably one of the most treacherous spots in the entire racetrack, and wisely, Danny Hansen backed off.
So Joey Brown, realizing discretion is probably the better part of valor out there, and he's going to drop back a little bit. You can't win this race at the halfway point. You got to win it on lap 200. You know, and once again, it just goes to speak to how long this race is. This is the longest race we run on this circuit, and afterwards, you know, these guys have got to be fatigued. They've got to be a little tired. Plus, they've got to be also managing in their head the fact that this isn't a sprint race. This isn't a shorter race. They've got to go the entire length out there, and that will change how they make moves, when they make moves, and more importantly, how this pit strategy comes out. So far, we're seeing a good green flag run out there, which could play into the hand of Joey Brown and company, who elected to go for tires last time by. No, maybe not though, because here comes Danny Hansen trying to get around Joey Brown.
What a run by Danny Hansen to the inside, the 32, looking to pick up the spot on the 12. His teammate Mike Conti just behind him in the 5, but what a power move by the 32 of Danny Hansen. The 12 might hold him off here, though, on the outside line. Joey Brown is going to maintain the spot, and what a move it was to keep the spot from the 32 of Danny Hansen, and now he begins to pull away a little bit from the J-Show teammates in the 32 and the 5.
And just like we talked about earlier, guys, the high side, whoa, hello, Brian Blackford. Problems for Brian Blackford. Caution is out as the number 33 Ford Drive 1 Fusion has had an issue underneath of it. And it looks like the Brian Blackford machine will consider this day now done. Tough break for Blackford. I know he was having a fairly solid run inside the top 20, but unfortunately, this is going to be the end of his day, it looks like, Joe.
Brian Blackford, the 33 machine, looks like he almost was an innocent victim of a couple incidents out there. So 29 machine got dumped right in front of him. That was Kevin King getting contact with the 19 machine. The 19 machine of Mitchell Hunt. Mitchell Hunt just easily dumps the 29 to Kevin King. Kevin King then gets in front of the 47 and the 33, and that is going to mean a lot of drivers involved in that incident. The Overland got a piece of it. The 22 of Rob Ackley got a piece of it as well out there. A handful of drivers all getting involved as a result of the 29 and 19 making contact through the turn. Kevin King, not a happy camper.
Leaders are going to come down onto pit road here. We'll get a couple of extra looks at that wreck. The 26 of Chad Lawton, though, going to come to his box, and they're going to go to the right side of the Camry, the Viper Technology sponsored ride. The 4 tires going on the 26. Yes, they are 4 tires on Chad Lawton's car. Will he win the race off pit road? It's going to be close. Ottinger going to win the race off pit road, and it's going to be close for second. I believe Humpy may have got the 26. It was pretty close, though.
I think he did already. Now Humpy giving that spot up as they try to rejoin the racetrack and rejoin on the behind the pace car, excuse me. And Humpy back there, Joey Brown, Mike Conti. Again, all the normal suspects we've seen up in front all night long. But it does sound like, Joe, that fisticuffs might be rolling pretty quickly between the Kevin King and Mitchell Hunt teams. Kevin King, in his very trademark snarky, sarcastic way, saying some things to Mitchell Hunt to say, you know, that's not a big deal. I just kind of want to see what you didn't see there. You know what I mean?
Wouldn't surprise me, but I think a lot more drivers are going to have some problems with Mitchell Hunt and company as I go back and look at this incident. More drivers who will probably not be able to rejoin the crew. The race of this race includes Steven Gilbert, PJ Sturgis in the 57th, Rory Wide Daly, heavy smoke pouring out of his machine as a result of that one. The 39 machine of Michael J. Johnson, he's gonna lose his engine after that. Tyler Hudson, the 01 machine, made heavy contact with the 39 as a result of that incident. And a lot of these drivers out here, there's going to be at least half a dozen drivers who will not be back on track as a result of that. So Mitchell Hunt might not be the most popular guy in the paddock.
The 89 of Landon Harrison. He was one of our in-car cameras earlier that we looked at. He gets involved in this wreck by over a straightaway behind him. They wreck in turn 1, and when he's in turn 1, he is just crossing the start-finish line, and he tries to get slowed down. The 40 and the 41 are playing bumper tag up there, and it looks like the 89 just gets flipped into the pinball machine and gets a little bit of contact with that one. I did talk to crew chief Jordan Hightower before that, and he told me that he sounded like that he had galloping walrus fever. I guess a galloping walrus doesn't get slowed down in time for the wreck. I guess Tony tried to get slowed down. There's a couple of guys behind him that didn't get slowed down, though, either. I saw a couple of cars spinning afterwards. So Landon may have slowed down a little bit more than those guys behind him.
Still trying to figure out how a walrus gallops, unless we're talking about the Beatles. Joe, I don't know. I mean, are you the walrus?
That might be the walrus. I might be the Eggman, too.
Oh, well, galloping, whatever you want to call it, I guess. Yeah, okay, whatever. Nonetheless, it's, yeah, I'm not even going to go there, Tim. It's just, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, let's just put it this way. If Landon Harrison's a galloping walrus, the 39 came in there flying like Seabiscuit, because he did not slow down going into that wreck. The 01 of Tyler Hudson going to plow into the 39 after the fact, but 39 of Michael J. Johnson, I guess, does not know where his brakes are, because apparently he did not use them going down the back straightaway.
Or just could be a case of ARCA brakes.
I wasn't going to go there, but since you did, Joe, we'll put it that way.
The thoughts and opinions expressed by Joe Cortez do not reflect those of the rest of the broadcast team.
Yeah, speaking of brakes, though, these guys aren't going to need any up front, because we're about to go green. Nick Ottinger, Chad Lawton are your top two. Danny Hansen, Kenny Humpy, Joey Brown listed as your top five. Michael Conti, Adam Gilliland moves up to position number 7. Ray Alfala back to 8th. Brad Davies to 9th. And I think this is the first time we've seen Cody Bias in the top 10 this evening. 27 runs in position number 10. He actually has a new spotter on top of the tower this evening. It's Brandon Hastings spotting for the number 27 of Cody Bias. So I want to say hello to him, and looks like it's working so far, because he is up into the top 10 for the first time this evening to complete lap number 89. Pace car and Nick Ottinger in control of the field, and he is gone. Watch the 32 of Danny Hansen. Hansen going to try to get underneath the 26 here.
And there's no trying. He is, Tim. In fact, now he's ahead of the 26 Chad Lawton. Joey Brown going to follow suit on the bottom of the speedway. Looks like Brown, yes, will clear Lawton off of turn number 2. So very quickly, it looks like that maybe Chad Lawton's outside restart spot not where he wants to be. That's something I think he'll probably keep in the memory bank for a little bit later. Now he's up to speed. Now he's got his momentum rolling, and he's going to try to re-challenge and retake that 4th spot from Ray Alfala.
Ray Alfala is getting sold up into position number 4, though, and hold on to it in a very good way. So Alfala could be resurging now. But look in front of him, the 12 and the 32 have dangerous moments between those two. And the 12 and 2 almost had to make a evasive maneuver around the 32 of Danny Hansen. The 12 now going to go down, try to get beneath the 32, and not going to get him this time by, but Joey Brown is on the hunt.
Joey Brown looking to the inside of the 32 with Danny Hansen just behind them. Keep a half eye on 8, 58, and 5, because they're going at it. 12 and 32, though, really made contact down the back straightaway. The 2 of Ray Alfala trying to figure out where he wants to go to pick up a spot here. 26 going to try to follow them through as well. Entertaining battle after this restart as the 12 picks up the spot, and then Chad Lawton goes through the infield. 8 car, 58 split him, and the 8 car is in the infield.
Hello, passes in the grass, or saves in the grass would be more appropriate. As caution on the speedway, looks like problems getting back here on the front straightaway. Alex Warren bringing out the yellow flag, and well, I guess that one took a little while to develop as everything kind of accordion back through the field. Alex Warren, I think, might have got just a little bit of help, though, from Chris Overland in the course of all that insanity, Joe.
I think I would tend to agree with you. The 47 of Overland now apologizing to the 82 of Alex Warren for getting caught up with him in the middle of that melee. It looks like the 47 just not sure where the 82 is going, and 47 thought the 82 is either going to go faster or get out of his way. Nonetheless, the 82 goes for a ride, and the Computer Bros Chevrolet will get a little TV time for his sponsor as he goes around, able to save it, and it looks like he'll be able to get right back on track, albeit with some slight damage in the back end.
That's the second time he's been punted this evening. This time he didn't save it. He did keep it off the wall, but that's, I guess, the good thing. Still a little bit of rear-end damage to the number 82 of Alex Warren. You mentioned the new sponsor on that race car as well. The PC Computer Pros, first time on that race car for them in the 2014 NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing season. Top 5 stay out. Top 10, I believe, are going to stay out on the racetrack. Looks like most of these guys staying out. But then again, Tony, we only went a couple laps. 47 of Overland going to be the first onto pit road, I think.
Yeah, and he was running way back deep in the field, almost outside the top 20. A little bit of damage after that incident. He'll come in, take 4 tires, get it checked out. Same with Rob Ackley, who was involved in the incidents earlier. Tom Lewandowski, Steve Gilbert. Alex Scribner is on pit lane. Andrew Fiash III, Landon Harrison, Warren, Jake Sturgis, among others. So pretty much everybody at the tail of the field that had nothing to lose coming down pit road, guys.
Definitely taking that shot, and you know what? When you're got nothing to lose, you do everything you can to try to get that advantage and try to make it work for you. Meanwhile, back up front on this field, Ottinger back in the lead. Joey Brown, Ray Alfalla, Danny Hansen, Kenny Humpy, your top 5. And when we get back to Green Flag Racing, guys, this is going to be the interesting part right here. We should just might be the halfway point.
And we'll see if that happens in just a few moments' time. We will step away, and we will be back with more racing for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Welcome back to Charlotte, still under the caution flag. We are working lap number 96 of 200 this evening. This is a 300-mile race if you're just joining us, and this is round number 6 that we've run this season on the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing season. Of course, we did have a Richmond race in there, and that got canceled, but this is the 6th race that we've run this season so far. Ottinger, Brown, going to be your front row, Tony, when we go back to green, we assume is going to be next time up.
Yeah, and Ottinger, really no surprise that he's in front of the field. Again, he and Joey Brown been strong. Ottinger won the All-Star race a week ago, and first victory for Toyota in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, Joe, but it really doesn't count because it was an exhibition race, a non-points paying event. Nick Ottinger's hoping that maybe tonight is the night he gets Toyota on to victory lane here in an official event.
Well, Nick Ottinger has 2 things playing to his history as well. Number 1, last season he got a majority of his wins on the mile-and-a-half track. So if anyone knows how to work a mile-and-a-half track, it's Nick Ottinger. Number 2, he is a multi-time winner here at Charlotte. 3 years ago, he won here at Charlotte. Last week, he won the All-Star race here at Charlotte. So if anybody has that history, anybody has that track experience going for him, it's going to be Nick Ottinger in the Rheem Toyota. And I know for a fact that Nick Ottinger would like to be the first repeat winner in this year's NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series races so far. We have not had a repeat winner yet, and Nick Ottinger could be the first.
Ottinger looking to take that checkered flag for the 2nd time of this season, but we'll see what he can do here and get himself to at least the halfway point in this race. We are going to be 3 laps away from that. when we do go green, because we will complete lap number 97 here. The iRacing.com Ford Mustang set to peel off here, and the 05 is on the hammer quickly. Green flag flies, the 2 of Ray Alfalla. Going to try to get on the inside of the 12, and here comes the 58, quick to the hop as well. Kenny Humpy going to pick up at least 1 and maybe 2, because the 12 appeared to be maybe a little sleepy on the outside.
A little slow for sure, but that seems to be kind of the characteristic of starting on the top of the racetrack, guys, is it takes you a lap or so to get your momentum rolling, and then you're fine and dandy and right ready for battle. But that first lap sometimes can be pretty disastrous. You might lose 1, 2, 3. We've even seen 4 and 5 spots at times here tonight. As finally now, everybody up front, single file, you ride on board the Reese tow power machine, the Reese hitch cam on the back of the Kenny Humpy machine.
And the Reese hitch cam giving us a good view of the number 12 of Joey Brown, who's just trying to tread water right now and keep up with them. Behind him, Adam Gilliland doing everything he can to get around the 26 of Chad Lawton. Meanwhile, back up in that group, Ray Alfalla under fire once again. The high line just not working for Ray tonight. Kenny Humpy, the Reese tow power machine's got the power to get to position number 2. Joey Brown is going to try to take away the position from that 2 machine as well. And we could have a switch for 3rd, maybe even 4th as we continue to go.
And we will reach the halfway point right here. 100 down, 100 to go as Ray Alfalla to the outside, trying to hold off the 12 and 26. The 26 of Chad Lawton, early leader, point leader in this series, trying to pick up 1 spot on the 2. And here comes Adam Gilliland in the Gary Mercer Trucking Shotgun Racing.ca in number 8 to the inside of the number 2 of Ray Alfalla.
And again, Alfalla good early, but fading as the run continues to go on. I'm not sure what they've done to that sim pedals machine, Joe, but something not quite, I think, where they want it to be. Or maybe they're trying a few things here in the middle portions of the race to maybe have something for later. You never learn unless you try something, and I guess maybe this could be the chance for Ray Alfalla. And speaking of trying things, Kenny Humpy going to try his hand at the front of the field. He just easily maneuvered his way around Chad Law, or check that, Nick Ottinger at front. So Kenny Humpy, for the first time tonight, he is on the point.
So Nick Ottinger will hook himself to the ball hitch on the back of the Reese tow power machine. Kenny Humpy picks up the first place position with ease, and now he's going to put a little bit of distance. So much of that ball hitch as 05 is hoping to hook up with Joey Brown. Now going to try to see what he can do to try to pick up position as well. Meanwhile, back to around position number 6, 7, it looks like. Michael Ghani still trying to make a statement, and Brad Davies going to jump along with him as well. You run in car with the 11 machine of Brad Davies. He almost made the position. On paper, Brad Davies has it, but he needs completely past turns 1 and 2. Does so with ease now on the backstretch.
Brandon Schmidt and the 27 of Cody Bias battling for a top 10 position. The 34 of Matt Busa is back here as well, trying to get back closer to the front of this field. Had a solid qualifying run, qualified in position number 5 this evening for the 34, but trying to get back there is a totally different process, Tony. Is the 27 still on the high side? He may have the door open for the 34 of Busa. They are about to go side by side down the back straightaway.
They're looking at that side-by-side battle. Just a note up front, Chad Lawton just worked his way by Joey Brown up to 3rd. Busa now gets by Cody Bias out of turn number 4, so moves Busa up to that 11th spot. As you look right there in that group, Robert Hall, the 30 machine. Give a call to Hall. That machine has been absolutely beat up, used up, and spit back out as you look at the right side of it. As, whoa, hello, contact with Justin Bolton. But Robert Hall still in the thick of it, keeping his nose where he needs to be up here inside the top 15.
Keep trying, and all you got to do as we get crazy. Lap car getting tight there in that group. Mountain lap car is going to make him struggle a little bit out there, as now the door 12 of Joey Brown is going to get low around the 8 of Adam Gilliland, put Joey Brown back in position number 4, and it wouldn't surprise me if we see those 2 switch positions once again.
And now the 8 sets his sights again on the 12, and as they swap positions, it closed in Ray Alfalla a little bit because Alfalla was falling off the pace of this battle. They swap spots, and Alfalla closes in a couple car lengths, and now he's within 2 car lengths of the 8 and the 12 as they go at it for positions 4 and 5. We work lap 108 as we look back at position number 10 or so. I believe that's Brandon Schmidt and the 27, as they were just passed by Matt Busa. And Busa will move into the top 10, and now Cody Bias will try to dispose of the 3 of Brandon Schmidt, as Justin Bolton has a front row seat to this battle behind them.
And Tim, what I've noticed as we continue to march on through this race is that while we, at first part of the race, saw the entire field really stuck together and it took them a while to really string out, it seems as this race gets longer and longer and deeper, Joe, we're stringing the cars out that much quicker. Is that a product you think maybe of just attrition, or are these guys really starting to work on their machines?
Well, it's a very long race, as you and I both cognizant of, and I think that we've talked about all throughout the race here. And I think as these guys continue to move along, as they continue to move forward, they are taking notes and they are making adjustments to these cars. As time goes on, they will change things. They will change the wedge. They will change the weighting. They will figure out how to make these tires and everything work in these cars. So I think what you're seeing right here is the guys who are best able to adjust their machines and adjust to this position and adjust to the rigors of this track. They're going to be the ones that rise through the track, through the field. You're seeing that happen so far. The top stay at the top, and everybody else is struggling to figure out what to do to make these cars move just a little bit faster.
Back up front, the 26 and 05 continue to go at it for position number 2. Chad Lawton trying to take that away from Nick Ottinger. Here he goes at a corner number 4 down to the inside of the Rheem Camry, and it looks like the 26 will pick up position number 2. Smooth Viper Technologies Camry up to position number 2, and they're about a half second or so behind Kenny Humpy in the 58 car. Joey Brown runs 4th. Adam Gilliland runs in position number 5, and they continue to chase down the 2nd and 3rd place battle. Just in front of them, Alfala, Conti, Davies, Hansen, and Busa complete your top 10, as Danny Hansen closing in just a little bit on Brad Davies. I think that may be one of the closer battles within the top 10 here.
Yeah, and really, as we said, Tim, things starting to stretch out a little bit. A couple of 1-2 car battles here and there, but I think it's almost to the point these guys have realized it's time to make laps. It's time to simply get to the end of the race. We've seen so many incidents so far, just guys that maybe not using their head. As Joey Brown bounces off the wall off turn number 4. Looks like minimal, if any, damage, but he did have a moment. Adam Gilliland had a prime opportunity to pick up a spot, but did not. And I think now it's just a matter of log laps, guys. It's all about getting to that lap 150 or 160 mark, and then, Joe, it's time to show what you've got.
Well, time is now running out. You use the first half of this race, figure out what you're going to do on the track and what you're going to do to ultimately take away the lead and get yourself up front. The second half of the race, it's go time. Once you've gotten those adjustments, once you've got that race out of the way, then you just drop the hammer and say, all right, let's make this work. Let's turn this into our race out there, and let's figure out what we got to do to make it work and get up front and get the win. Kenny Humpy doing just that right now, as he's got almost a second, well over half second, over Chad Lawton, Nick Ottinger, Joey Brown, Adam Gill, and your top 5. Kenny Humpy won his first race of the season. He's looking to make it his second win right here.
Ray Alfala to the outside of the 5, and Conti will pick up 1. He might have a little bit of damage to the right rear of that Obuto Gaming Cockpits number 5, and the 11 of Brad Davies trying to pounce as well, as Davies will pick up 1 on the 2 of Ray Alfala, and here comes the 32 of Danny Hansen. Hansen dives it in on the 2 in the middle of 3 and 4, and he has nowhere to go but to follow the 11 of Brad Davies. Davies will pick up the spot, the 32 will pick up the spot, and Ray Alfala will be dispatched back to position number 9, as Kenny Humpy and Chad Lawton, they're going to navigate some lap traffic here, as the 50 will go one more lap down.
So certainly not a good night for him by any means. As it's sometimes you just have those nights where things don't quite go the way that you planned, and it looks like Alex Scribner. It's well, pretty much not going to be his night, but I'll give him props though, Tim. That slide for life out of turn number 4. You don't see cars slide like that out of turn 4, do the hospital wobble, and not hit anything. Scribner did on that particular incident, as he's still continuing to soldier on, but looks like obviously substantial damage from another incident now in front of that vehicle, and just making laps on it. You know, looking down through here, guys, there's probably a good 10 cars that are listed as out of this race or way off the lead pace. And Joe, That's one of the highest attrition rates we have seen all season long.
Another lap car about to come into play is the 7 of Ashley Miller. That is going to that may affect how these guys run as we continue to move forward here. Now you run on board with the 8 of Adam Gilliland as they dispatch the 37 chance today of Steven Gilbert. Now Adam Gilliland trying to look under the 12 of Joey Brown. They're going to go side by side here to turn 3 and 4. The high line not working for anybody. Joey Brown is no exception. He drops behind the 8 of Adam Gilliland, scored him into position number 4.
And now Adam Gilliland will see if he can run away from that number 12 of Joey Brown. Remember the last time they had this battle about 10 laps ago, Tony, it was the 12 getting back past the 8 of Adam Gilliland. So maybe Gilliland's car getting a little bit better the longer that we run in this segment. And I know, see if we can get a camera maybe on the back TV panel of the 8 car of Adam Gilliland. He's trying to raise awareness for shotgunracing.ca, one of their drivers involved in one of those sponsor promotions, I guess you call it, Tony, almost like the Champion Spark Plugs deal or the Peak Stock Car Dream. They're trying to gain votes for Chantal Ackles to win a $500 sponsorship. She's in the final 5. You can go to shotgunracing.ca and vote for her. And Adam's trying to get the votes the hard way because he's trying to get up to the front of this field and win this thing.
Well, at this rate, he's doing pretty well. If votes equate to finishing well, Adam Gilliland might be on to something. So certainly all of our viewers, we encourage them to go take a look at that. And, of course, vote for the driver of their choosing. And maybe it is Chantal Ackles for that matter. And, you know, it leads me to, now that you mentioned that, Tim, it's really cool. I saw the Peak Stock Car Dream winner from last year, Patrick Scarapoli, at the Iowa Speedway this weekend. And actually saw him last night as well at the GoPro Motorplex. And it's really cool what Peak does for the Stock Car Dream Challenge and how they've involved iRacing. And you've got 2 iRacers that strictly that's the only way they're qualified, Joe. One, Tyler Hudson, won this series championship last year. Another one worked their way into the NASCAR Peak Series on iRacing. So 2 iRacers have a shot to become the next Patrick Scarapoli. And to look at Patrick and talk with him, it's just an absolute, complete change of his lifestyle. He gets to hang out with these guys, do all these events, and he gets to go, most importantly, to the racetrack and have a championship caliber car prepared for him. There was a time in that race Saturday night, some guy that was nobody a year ago in Patrick Scarapoli had a shot, I think, to win that race. He was passing cars on the outside like nobody was, and you never know. That could be one of our iRacers in another 6 months if they win the Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge. It's a really, really neat deal. And, of course, you can go to Peak's Facebook and their Twitter, and they have all the details and all kinds of other things related to the Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge. And, of course, you can always find it hashtag on hashtag PeakSCD. All that will take place right here at Charlotte in really just a matter of weeks as they come out and do all the on-track and off-track evaluations as well. Somebody could have a life-changing event happen here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway.
You know, and Tony, I think you and I actually had a great chance to talk about this at Victory Karting 2 weeks ago. Motorsports is one of the last true meritocracies in sports entertainment anymore. This is one of the last few places where you don't have to be born with natural talent. You don't have to be born with natural athletic build, with the right genes, to the right parents. All you have to do is have a dream, a little willpower, and be willing to put in the hard work. And if you're willing to do those 3 things, you will ultimately find your way through the ranks and make your name known throughout the field. Motorsports is a meritocracy. It's one of the last 2 bastions where anybody can show up, and if they're willing to put the work in, they can make it work out there on the field. Kenny Humphrey still up front. Nick Ottinger now in 3rd. Charlotte Motor 2nd. Adam Gilliland 4th. Michael Conti now rounding out your top 5. As Ashley Miller, the recent lap car, gets passed by Ray Alfala, top 10, about to clear lap traffic.
The 5 car is one of the faster cars within the top 10 right now. He has run down Adam Gilliland in the 8 car. You can ride on the roof with Conti. You close in on the shotgunracing.ca TV panel that Adam Gilliland has in the Gary Mercer Trucking JDR Graphics Cody Bias Racing number 8. as he, Tony, he ran him down. He passed Danny Hansen, his teammate. He passed Joey Brown in this run, and Michael Conti has ran down Adam Gilliland, even with that little bit of damage to the right rear corner of the Oboto Gaming Cockpits number 5. That thing is fast. Last time by the stripe, 27:14 for the 5. Leader Kenny Humpy, 27:07. And he's about to navigate lap traffic in the 89 of Landon Harrison. So about the same lap times between Conti and Humpy, and they're both in a little bit of traffic right now.
And Tim, they're flying, but the sheer part, you mentioned the lap times. 27.0s and 27.1s. Oh, trouble off turn 4! Here goes Brad Davies for a ride through the ball field with Ray Alfalla. Major damage to the Brad Davies machine as we stay green. It all started with Joey Brown slowed to come to pit road. Davies made contact. Alfalla was swept up in it as well. Also involved was the number 7 machine of Ashley Miller. Major incident as they still scattered to get around Miller in turn 1. But 2 of the contenders for the win take it out as Joey Brown came to pit road, Joe.
We'll get ready to show you the replay here real quick. It really was
Overland's all around, Joe. Overland's in turn number 4. Looked like Chris Overland got into it over in turns 3 and 4 with Brad Davies, who just got a piece of that accident, Joe, as turn 4, not a good place for Brad Davies recently, and that really is going to put a ding in their chances tonight. Brad Davies, I think, essentially done. Ray Alfalla the same. And Chris Overland got some damage out of it too, Joe.
Chain reaction through the field as Joey Brown comes down to pit road, gets 4 new tires, and is down and away. He will not be, I don't think he will be forced to serve a penalty for coming down a closed pit, because technically it was open before all the melee happened behind him. But what a wild situation. What a strange situation that all that would take place the way it did and how it did. And now it's going to open the door for a lot of other guys to come down to pit road without any problems whatsoever. 22 cars remain on the lead lap as a result of that, but I've got a feeling with Brad Davies and a handful of other drivers now with heavy damage, that number might be reduced. Kenny Humpy coming down pit road. He will be joined by Chad Lawton, Nick Ottinger, Michael Conti, Danny Hansen, Adam Gillen, Justin Bolton, Brian Schoenberg, Matt Busa, and Brandon Schmidt, all coming to the attention of their crews, led by the 58 of Kenny Humpy.
We'll see if Humpy can maintain the lead on pit road. The Reese Tow Power Ford will have to back up into his box, so that is going to hurt the 58 car greatly. Right side tires going on the Ford Fusion. Does he take 4 tires here? Indeed he does. 4 tires on the 58 of Kenny Humpy. Now it's just a matter of who wins the race off pit road. At the end of pit road, here comes Ottinger in the 05, and he is going to take the race off pit road over Chad Lawton, Michael Conti, Adam Gilliland. And where is Humpy? Humpy is outside the top 10.
I think he roughly about the 9th spot, Tim, is where he came off the pit lane. Again, not a good mistake or time for a mistake on the part of Kenny Humpy. Now here enters the second part of this equation, guys. We've got 65 laps to go when we cross the stripe. Who is going to gamble on fuel? Because we know, and actually Humpy now showing some damage on the right side of his Reese Tow Power machine. So apparently he's gotten into somebody or something. But the question now is, who can make it on fuel, number 1? Number 2, if they can't make it, who's going to top off? Who's going to short pit? This might turn into a fuel strategy race, Joe.
Not only a fuel strategy race, but a tire strategy race as well. We are currently only scoring lap number 135. That will be complete. And if we do the math that we were talking about earlier, these guys can only make a comfortable tire run over about 35 laps. So the question may not be how long can I go on fuel. The question may end up being, how comfortable do I feel running these tires down, knowing that there is a chance that I'll either 1, lose position, or number 2, wreck out entirely with old burned out rubbers on the cars.
Landon Harrison is your free pass car in the number 89. I believe he is the one that gets on the lead lap. And he says that his car is now driving like a box of Fruit Loops. You can figure that one out while we go to break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
Welcome back to Charlotte. Nick Ottinger is your leader, and he's about to put the hammer down here. Chad Lawton on the outside. Ottinger bringing them down a little bit slower this time. Here he goes. Green flag flies. The 5 of Conti now to the inside of the 26 side by side as Danny Hansen comes flying as well. He's going to bring his teammate Schoenberg through as the 26 slides into line, and Adam Gilliland is going to fall into the top 5 here maybe.
Very well could, Tim. Again, the top lane jinx, for lack of a better term, biting Brian Schoenberg possibly. Again, takes about a lap, or excuse me, Adam Gilliland takes about a lap or so to get your momentum up, as now we have a battle for the second spot. Lawton has his steam engine rolling ahead to the inside of Michael Conti, and he'll in fact pull the freight train through the station into position number 2. To move Lawton back to the second spot on the scoring pylon is now Nick Ottinger, shaking in his shoes just a little bit as Lawton beginning to chase him down.
Ottinger remains up front, and he's got a nice little distance between himself and Chad Lawton. 2 Toyotas lead the way here as Michael Conti, Danny Hansen, Adam Gillen come along for the ride. Top 5 starting to break away, but here comes Brian Schoenberg, and more importantly, Brandon Schmidt looking for a career best run out here in that number 3 machine. Then behind them, the man who was leader, Kenny Humpy, looking to haul his way back up to the front. Trey Eitzen now in the top 10 for the first time tonight.
And Trey now looking to the inside of Humpy for the position. Justin Bolton, Brian Day also looking to advance their position a little bit as Humpy stuck on the outside line. And here comes the 6-car. Beautiful paint scheme on that 6, I must add, as well, with the patriotic paint scheme. But now here comes Bolton to the inside, patriotic or not. He wants that spot on the 6.
He does, and that Motivated Eyewear group, always known for their flamboyancy. One of the cool things about Motivated Eyewear is some of the styles they have, and obviously honoring our vets and our troops with that red, white, and blue scheme this weekend here at Charlotte, as are so many of the drivers in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, Nationwide Series, and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Is Bolton side by side, and hello, Brian Day. Oh, slide for life for Brian Day. He was running in the 11th spot. He'll slide back up into the racing surface, and caution is out. Looks like minimal, if any, contact for Brian Day. But that was a moment where he might need to change his pants, Joe.
So Brian Day, the Plan B sales driver, is going to need a little bit of a Plan B himself out there as the 4 machine goes on a self-spin. Just gets behind on the steering, it looks like, coming off of turn number 2. And not what he anticipated, not what he planned to do out there. But so he'll need at least 4 new tires, and that is going to mess with his pit strategy a little bit as well. The flat spots on those tires will change how this car handles, and will change his entire strategy out here as well. And if you're one of the leaders, this might change a little bit of your strategy as well. We're less than 60 laps to go. Tires might be an issue right here, and now you're going to see the drivers throw the fake. They're all trying to mess with everybody out here as they try to figure out what they want to do as a result of this next caution flag.
So it looks like your top 10 are going to stay out, and looking for the first one to come down is Robert Hall in the 30. So that's 13th on back thereabouts, and that's about half the cars that are on the lead lap right now. Robert Hall in the 30 is the first to come down to the attention of his crew, and they will go to work on that race car. Looks like Ray Alfala, Joey Brown, Chris Overland, Tom Lewandowski, Alex Warren among those to come down onto pit road. The service on the number 30 car is almost completed, 4 tires, and he is down and away. But yeah, so about half the cars on the lead lap will come down to pit road on this caution, and we're closing in, Tony. We're still looking to get to 50 laps to go. We're almost at that point. We're on lap 144 right now, and Nick Ottinger trying to seal this deal and pick up a victory, but man, Chad Lawton's been quick here tonight.
He has, and so has Joey Brown. And I know what you're thinking, Tim. Joey Brown's in 20-some-odd position right now. Who cares? Well, he might be in a spot that he's got a car fast enough, and he's got a pit strategy now that could be just almost plausible enough that he could stretch it the rest of the way if we go green. And Joe, wouldn't that be a twist of fate for Joey Brown to get involved in an incident that brought out a caution flag, putting essentially a lap down at the tail of the field, and then be able to come back to win it because of pit strategy? Might be something to it. Still a long way to go, but I think Joey Brown might be thinking gamble here on that one.
Well, I mean, how many times have we seen a race won on and off pit road? How many times have we seen pit road be the deciding factor in how a race starts and finishes? How often do we talk about pit? How often do we talk about pit road being the place where everything happens? How many times we talk about people playing the race backwards out there? Joey Brown, the number 12 machine, going to come down pit road and do just that. He's going to play the race backwards. He's going to top off on fuel real quick. No tires, it looks like, for the 12 machine. Nope, fuel only. And he'll be back down and away. So now you're seeing Joey Brown play this race just a little bit backwards in the BEC Chevrolet out there. He's going to try to figure out what he wants to do, and more importantly, see if he can make this last all the way to the end and then risk the run on older tires.
We did have one little green flag stint there just past the halfway point. Now we've had a couple more cautions to go with the flow that we had the first half of this event. So those guys that are coming down to pit road to top off might not be a bad strategy if we do see that green flag run kick in once again. I'm showing 26 drivers on the lead lap right now. Alex Scribner might be falling off of that pace. He is sitting on pit road right now. He goes, and I believe he may stay on the lead lap as the pace car comes off of corner number 4 with Nick Ottinger, Chad Lawton, Michael Conti, Danny Hansen, and Adam Gilliland, your top 5 in tow. Brian Schoenberg sitting back there in position number 6, and I don't think we've heard the end of him yet this evening. See if Schoenberg can possibly get up here and put on a show, as should be doubling up here, and the pace car lights will be going off. So next time by, we will be back to green flag conditions.
Couple more drivers as we come down for the one to go topping off. Mitchell Hunt among them. Landon Harrison comes down. His service already complete with Justice Flash. Chris Overland looks like he'll be doing the same. Brian Day, again with nothing to lose, he'll come in, top off the Plan B sales car. So a couple of strategy moves now working. Surprisingly, Joey Brown did not come down pit road that time and take the extra lap that he may be able to use to his advantage. And these guys coming in now, they're going to have to go 55 laps, guys. So I think that's doable if everything works according to plan, Joe. It might be on the outer edge, but you know, if you're back there, I say go for it. Do it.
It's plausible. Probable, maybe not, but definitely plausible. And additional caution flags will extend that and create opportunities. So now it's a matter of who can capitalize, who can make it work for them, and who can play this race backwards. You're now in sprint mode, and everything matters from here on out.
So we are getting ready to go back to green here. We'll see how Ottinger starts this one. He's going to go way early. Green flag flies, and we are back underway. The 5 to the inside of the number 26. 32 at Danny Hansen, going to go to the inside of the 26, or at least thought of going to the inside. The 26 going to slam the door, and here comes the 55 of Brian Schoenberg with the 8 of Adam Gilliland hot on his heels.
And Kenny Humpy right underneath of Adam Gilliland. He'll swing off turn number 2. Not able to get that spot, however. Gilliland takes the run off the top of the speedway. And Kenny, oh, big trouble almost for Trey Eidson now. And the outside wall is Trey Eidson. He'll keep it going the right direction, but Trey Eidson's night now effectively over with after that major incident over in turn number 4. They're still trying to dodge you now as they work into turn number 1, but tough break for Trey Eidson, Joe, the motivated eyewear machine. Looks like there's a couple of scratches on the lens of that one.
Trey Eidson did everything he could to stay motivated through this race, but it just wasn't meant to be as he continues to drop through this field. He will get passed by the 89 of Landon Harrison. Next, he's going to fight right behind him. We'll have to keep an eye on what he can do and if at least hold on for the rest of this race. Back up front, Ottinger continues to lead. Lawton second, Michael Conti third, Danny Hansen fourth, Brian Schoenberg rounding out your top 5. Joey Brown, he's now in 14th as he's getting the push from Cody Bias. He's got, remember, Joey Brown's got the gas. He can't afford to burn off a whole lot of it right now, but he's going to do whatever he can to get at least within a breath of the top 10.
Adam Gilliland holding on to this battle here that we have for 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, but up in front, Chad Lawton has drove up to Nick Ottinger's back bumper. He's got a whole lot of ream in front of him, and we'll have to see if he can mount a charge here for the 05 to try to take the lead back as we have 50 laps to go right here as we complete it. Lap 150, the 26 closing in on the 05, and just behind them, the 32, the 55, the 5. The teammates are 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now, and they're trying to close in on the top 2.
And right now that attempt is, well, it's not failing, it's not really succeeding at the moment, however. They are right in touch with the leaders, and it's amazing to me, again, how this race plays out. You still have your comers and your goers, your guys in the front of the field that have been there all night long. And Joe, you know, got to give a call as well to Matt Busa and Justin Bolton. Busa was good in the All-Star race a week ago. Here he is inside the top 10 now, about 2 seconds off the lead. Justin Bolton at the tail end of this lead pack. He's been solid all night long, and that driver for Lee Falk Racing in the NASCAR Wheel All-American Series having a pretty good run. And so is this guy, Chad Lawton, going for the lead on Nick Ottinger. Move Lawton back to the top spot. Ottinger now going to be falling back to second and might even relinquish that one. Here comes Mike Conti looking on the inside briefly. Nothing there as they work back to turn 3.
Chad Lawton finishing the last season 26 in points. No wins for his campaign, I believe. My memory serves me correct, but he did have 3 top 5. So how great would it be if Chad Lawton tonight not only goes on to win this race, but more importantly, he scores the first win for Toyota in a official points-paying race here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Lawton trying to break two streaks out here tonight, and he could very easily do both. Ottinger content to cruise in second, Michael Conti in third. He's still in striking distance. Danny Hansen, Brian Schoenberg rounding out your top 5, and now it's all. And now we're still keeping an eye on that 12 machine of Joey Brown. He won here last year. He's dropped back. He was in 12th. He was in 15th. He's now in 17th. It's conservation time for Joey Brown.
Yeah, he might be saving something in that number 12 as he continues to methodically work his way through the field. He's got the 22 of Rob Ackley, though, like a bull in a china shop behind him. He almost stormed the corner on that number 12 as the 22 behind Joey Brown's got, well, needless to say, Tony, he's got a little bit of front and rear end damage to the MBD number 22 as Brown 8 seconds behind your leader, and Ray Alfalo would be the next on the list for him. As you look back from Mike Conti, you're going to see Danny Hansen, you're going to see the 55 of Brian Schoenberg. Looks like Adam Gilliland has fallen off the pace a little bit of this top 5 battle, but Danny Hansen trying to make something happen on his teammate for third.
He is, and again, Conti, after winning a Pocono, or Tim, I think he's very motivated. I think with the misfortunes of some of his competitors, think it kind of empowered Mike Conti to realize, hey, I still have a very legitimate, very real shot at this championship. And it seems like he's just been really refocused as of late, Joe, to the point that Mike Conti, in the next couple of weeks, could be one of those guys we're talking about as coming into the race with a point lead or very close to such.
Well, now that the All-Star break's over, now these guys have gotten that out of the way, I've got a feeling that you're going to see a lot of these guys get a whole lot more serious and get refocused about what needs to happen here for the rest of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series presented by iRacing. Remember, they are instituting that chase-style finale this season at the last 3 races of the season, and you have to be within that threshold in order to be eligible to win the championship and the $10,000 and the prize package that takes you to Homestead, Miami, to Charlotte for Champions Weekend and back. So this is really now the place where it turns into go time, not only here on the track in Charlotte, but for all these drivers out here as they can now start scoring laps 60. 41 laps left on the field. It's time to do something. If you're going to show up, now's the time to do it.
And it's a 4-way dance up in front for the lead as the 26 and the 05 now have company in the 5 and the 32. The 55 is Schoenberg trying to get up here with this mess as well. They got a lap car up in front of them. That is Josh Lawton in the 40. He is about to go a 9th lap down as the 40. He's got to get out of Dodge in order to let these 4 leaders go by, and looks like Brian Schoenberg has joined as well. So a 5-car freight train here for the lead position, and here comes the 05 trying to open the door on the 26 of Lawton about to lose the lead here. Here comes Ottinger to the inside. He's going to fight back on the outside, but Ottinger seems to have that inside line preferred groove. 26 almost in the fence off 4. He's going to lead it here, Tony, but how far does the 5 and the 05 push now to try to take that lead back?
I think you don't push too far. You still have to pit, and you have to conserve something and be thinking a little bit about strategy here. You don't want to make some sort of maneuver that takes yourself out of the race, as we're getting now down into the late stages. We're inside of 40 laps to go, 162 complete this time by, so 38 circuits are left here in the 300-mile Classic at Charlotte, and that's got to be weighing on the mind of Chad Lawton as Nick Ottinger and Mike Conti continue to press on. As that number gets smaller, though, Joe, I think you're more apt to take the chances that you probably shouldn't, but, let's be honest, at the end of the race, that's what you have to do.
That's kind of the strange things at the end of the races. You start making changes, you start rolling the dice and making risks you would never do 50, 60 laps ago. Brad Davies now comes in the attention of his crew down on pit road. You make those moves, you make those different maneuvers, you try to figure out where you want to go and what you want to do in a hurry at this point. And basically, if you second guess yourself, you're 2 seconds too late. Now you got to make it work out here. Let's take a look at that pass for third just a moment ago that we saw out there on the field. Michael Conti battling back side by side with Danny Hansen. Danny Hansen goes down low, and that is going to create an opportunity for him to claim it. Now Danny Hansen wiggles a little bit, and Michael Conti could get back into third, not a lap after the storm.
So now the 32 of Danny Hansen trying to close in on those 2 in front of him with that little change of position. There's a little bit of a gap between the 2nd and 3rd place driver now. The 5 of Conti back to 4th, and Schoenberg in at the top 5. The leaders are all within 0.8 of a second of each other as Chad Lawton continues to lead. Brad Davies just came off pit road, and he will go 1 more lap down to the field as the battered and bruised number 11, and Tony, he was a contender before everything started happening with what was going to be some green flag pit stops, and it's gone to the wayside for Brad Davies. It's probably the easiest way to say it.
It really has, Joe, and that's a tough break for Brad Davies, as we said at the time. Really not of his own doing. Yeah, he kind of was the guy that started the deal when he missed or didn't miss Joey Brown, but I don't think he really expected that to happen. There was no real warning when we went back and looked, and poor Brad Davies went from being a contender to just pretty much being a field filler at this point. Speaking of Joey Brown, guys, he's 18 seconds off the lead in 24th spot, about a half a second each lap off the pace. This is starting to tell me that maybe Joey Brown is trying to make it the rest of the way, but he's right there on the cusp of making it happen. Chris Overland's right ahead of him in the same boat. Same with Landon Harrison. These guys all pitted the top off the fuel tanks. Something tells me these guys believe they can make it, but the problem is they're right there on the iffy side of it, Joe, and it might be pretty close. Listen on board as you're on with Joey Brown. Listen to him punch in the clutch, try to drop the revs to save as much fuel as he can. It's going to be close, and if we stay green, Chad Lawton and Nick Ottinger, I think, will not win this race.
It's going to be very difficult to see what they can do. I've got a feeling you're absolutely right. They are going to be forced to come down pit road anytime now. Let's negate the tire argument for just a moment. They can probably run on these older tires. The only problem is they're not going to have enough fuel to get it all the way through the field. That's where Joey Brown, you saw him playing defense out there. He's back in 24th. He doesn't care. He's conserving fuel. He's saving it all up, and he's waiting for everyone to come down pit road in front of him. So Joey Brown playing this race backwards, and that might be exactly what he needs to ultimately win it. Back up front, we have a pass for position number 2. Score the 32 machine of Danny Hansen now, position number 2 after getting past Nick Ottinger right to the front of the start-finish line. And now it looks like Danny Hansen might want to try to put himself in a position to, if not lead some laps, maybe even win the race.
Danny Hansen had a solid run earlier in the season, and it looked like he could have very well won a race this NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series earlier in 2014, but right now, he's looking pretty solid. We mentioned Joey Brown last season, made a name for himself in this race. Danny Hansen has moved to second, and now he's trying to chase down Chad Lawton, who is 0.6 of a second or so ahead of the 32. Does he have what it takes to win this thing? His teammates are running in the top 5 as well. The 32 is looking pretty good here in the later laps of this race. Chopped off 1/10 of a second that time on Chad Lawton's lead.
Now my question is, as you watch Danny Hansen try to reel in the fish that is Chad Lawton, could maybe some of these guys be thinking of something goofy here? We know you're not going to need a full fuel run, Joe, to run the rest of the way if green flag stops commences. Here comes Conti now, peeking to the inside of Ottinger, nothing there. Does Danny Hansen or Adam Gilliland, or even a Brandon Schmidt or Justin Bolton, do you see them trying 2 tires? I almost see it happening because you don't need a full load of fuel. You might as well cut the time on the tires as well and try to use that to your advantage. I don't know if it'll work after a full load or full run on the tires, but you know, late in the race, it's almost one of those deals. I think of try it can't hurt.
I'm going to go with a little bit more dangerous idea there, Tony. What if they don't go down for tires at all? Now, I know what you're going to say to me right now. Look, you're already down there. It takes a full tank of fuel to switch 2 tires. You might as well do it. But I'm thinking that with 25 laps left to go, it's entirely possible they don't need the tires. It's hard to say. Nick Ottinger, though, may want to consider them as he's going to come down pit road. Well, Nick Ottinger is going to come down pit road, the 05, almost causing an incident.
8 cars sliding through the grass, and that will bring out a caution flag. It was a close call there at the end of pit road, Tony, between the 8 and the 05 as the Ottinger machine came down onto pit road. I don't think Adam Gilliland hit anything, maybe except the wall coming off of turn 4. He did get the wall, but it could have been a lot worse. He could have had that inside wall, but caution flag will fly, and I'm sure Adam Gilliland will have to come down onto pit road and get a little bit of that side buffed out.
That could have been a lot worse for Adam Gilliland. Same with Kenny Humpy. Humpy just lost control off turn number 4, and he went for a huge slide for life. Again, he didn't hit anything either, but Kenny Humpy did go around backwards through the ball field here, as we call it, at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, but did not hit anything. And the bad news is, if you're Joey Brown or Chris Overland, Landon Harrison, your strategy just went out the window, guys. Your lone hope for winning this race is, well, it's toast now. Now you have to drive your way through the field in about 20 laps to do it, and that might produce some exciting results once we get back to it, Joe.
You know, but when you make the pit stops like that, when you run the pit stops like that, that's where it gets dangerous, and that's where it's very much rolling the dice for everybody out there. Everybody now coming to the attention of their pit crew, and this is going to be the great equalizer as they come down to the attention of their crews, all being led by your leader, Chad Lawton, the 26 machine, now in his pit stop.
And the 26 team going to take 2 tires on the right-hand side. We'll see if it is a 4-tire stop for the number 26 team. It is going to be 4 tires by the looks of it. They're taking all the fuel that they can get into the car. And does Justin Bolton win the race off pit road? Indeed, he does. Bolton is going to take some strategy here and be the first car off pit road. Then it's going to be Lawton, Hansen, the 5 and the 55. And you saw the stop, Tony, right sides on Justin Bolton?
Hey, we talked about gambling. I don't know if I agree with it this late into a run under caution on the restart, but we did see Justin stay out on older tires earlier. Maybe 2 tires could be something that gets him a solid finish. We'll find out, but Nick Ottinger is going to be the big winner on this series, guys, because he was on pit road when the caution came out. He was able to get his service, come back onto the racetrack, not lose a lap, and now he will be the leader once we go back racing, Joe.
Correction, he did not get service on that machine. He just drove straight through, and now he might have to come back down and around, or he's trying to figure out something else to do there. We'll have to keep an eye on what happens. Meanwhile, Lawton still up front, Hansen, Connie, Schoenberg, Brandon Schmidt, and now here comes the 05, that 05 machine of Nick Ottinger, maybe trying to get a little bit more service. Not exactly sure what he's doing, but we'll have to keep an eye on Danny check 05 Nick Ottinger. He's always got a card up his sleeve. The problem is, with less than 25 laps to go, will he have enough time to play it?
So Ottinger comes down into pit road. We will tell you that Adam Gilliland, after he spun onto pit road, and he didn't get the whole car onto pit road, he got a corner of the car onto pit road, and the sim will give him a black flag, so he will have to serve that under never mind. They just cleared that. We're going to break. We'll be back.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
And we are going to have 20 to go at the Charlotte Motor Speedway when we go green, and Justin Bolton has pulled the move to try to win this thing. He is leading, and he will lead us to green over Chad Lawton, Danny Hansen, Michael Conti, Brian Schoenberg, Brandon Schmidt, Matt Busa, Cody Bias, Alex Warren, after getting punted twice and going through the infield and rearranging the agricultural work here at Charlotte, is 9th. And somehow, and Brandon Bowie completes your top 10. The iRacing.com Ford Mustang pace car is going to head to the infield here, and we are getting ready to see some more green flag racing. Justin Bolton in command of the field, and we are bringing it down slow, and we got one car way in the infield here. That's Mitchell Hunt.
Electrical issues in the Hunt machine. I think that's why he went down there, and apparently looks like he now will be bypassed by the field. Tough break for Mitchell Hunt. But that really stacked them up as they work now under green off of turn number 2. And this is something we talked about in the break. The outside, again, not the lane of choice for Chad Lawton. his momentum, it takes a lap or so to get going. That's going to open the door, and it has opened the door for Danny Hansen. Hansen out to second. Hansen wants the lead off turn number 4.
Hansen wants the lead. Not going to happen. He's going to try again down in turn number 1 and 2. Hansen is going to start digging. He's digging hard. It's going to be Hansen by a nose, but can Justin Bolton hold him off the drag race in turn 3 and 4? It will be Justin Bolton falling back to Danny Hansen.
And now the 5 to the inside of the 36, trying to pick up that position. The 26-55, trying to follow them through. Matt Busa has put his name in the mix as well, qualified 5th, and looking to get back up into the top 5 late in this event. The 5 going to pick up the spot, and here comes the 26 of Chad Lawton. We got to spin in the back.
Busa. Matt Busa goes around in turn number 2, and hello, here comes everybody else, and Matt Busa just absolutely sailed it off into the corner, and I couldn't tell if there was any help on the part of Brandon Schmidt. If he got some help, it was very, very slight, Joe. Again, the car stepped out like he did get some help, but it's really too hard to tell. It's somehow just a single car accident as Busa goes around, and his night, just as Tim was talking about, it is now done.
It looks to me, though don't quote me on this, I really want to see another closer replay from a different area. It looks like the 34 Matt Busa was a victim of netcode. What do I mean when I say netcode? This is where the sim believes that there's going to be contact made and reacts accordingly between the two cars, even though there physically is no contact made. So the iRacing sim made it, or believed there'd be contact between the 3 and 34, so it reacted as if contact was made, when in truth, I don't know that the 3 and 34 actually made contact. I think that was the preventative algorithm in iRacing that said, yes, contact will be made, go ahead and spin the 34 as if contact were made.
You know what, Joe? Even if there is a little bit of that, the 34 was still coming down the racetrack, and the 3 wasn't letting him into line. Regardless if there was or not, I think that was probably still going to happen anyway. And you saw what happened with the 34 going backwards into the wall. A lot of damage for the 34 and a tough break for Matt Busa. He's had a couple of good runs this season. Foiled late, and the 13 car nearly got another piece of him coming through there as well. The spotters, they do have in-game spotters, Tony, where the sim can trigger a car low or a car high or a caution or whatever sort of command to the driver. These drivers also have the ability to have live spotters that they can communicate back and forth with through the in-game voice communication or through a voice communication like TeamSpeak. But there's some spotters here tonight that either need fired or they need a talking to, because there's been a lot of guys that haven't been slowing down for some of these wrecks.
Yeah, there have been a lot of cases of guys not looking, it seems like, not looking very far ahead of them. I don't know what the deal is. If the car is just that far out of control that they hit the brakes, that the weight shift is going to send the car around, or what the case is. But it seems like there are certainly some teams and drivers that need to get some of those priorities readjusted, for lack of a better term. But kind of disturbing, really, Joe, for all the places we race. It's usually not an issue with the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series guys, but tonight, for some reason, it just seems like a lot of drivers not getting the word, not seeing what's happening in front of them.
There's a lot of miscommunications, but this is also a very emotionally charged, very high-energy race out here. So when you're that pumped up, when you got that much adrenaline, that much energy running around you, you're not always listening. You're not always focused 100% on that little voice telling you car high, car low, car left. All you're focused on is getting around that next driver, holding that line, getting that fast line, getting that move. And sometimes it just escapes you, and it is what it is. I think tonight you're seeing these drivers emotionally charged, having a lot of fun out there, and focus less about logistics of the car and more about doing whatever it takes to win, especially now that we cross the line. Lights should go off, we'll have 15 to go, we'll be 14 to go before we go back to green flag racing.
So we'll have at least one, maybe two, maybe three restarts, depending on how antsy. Yeah, well, depending how antsy these guys get, and depending how these guys get up on the wheel. You got to remember, Danny Hansen is going for his first career win in this series. You better believe that he's going to be on the hammer, at least on this restart, and trying to run from everybody else. Mike Conti won 2 weeks ago, going to start in second, and Chad Lawton is the point leader in this series. He's going to start in third. The question is going to be Justin Bolton starting in position number 4. We saw how he felt like a rock. He wasn't bad on the get-go, Tony, on the initial start, but after a couple of laps, the 36 car started falling back. So if you're Brandon Schmidt, who's going to start behind him, or maybe a Cody Bias, Brandon Bowie, Warren, or Day that's in the back half of that top 10, are you concerned maybe about that 36 in a couple of laps when we do go get going green?
I think I'm already concerned, Tim, because as we've seen, the top lane just cannot get going for about a lap after a restart. After that lap, it's fine, but Bolton, remember, took 2 tires in the last stop, so he's already at a disadvantage. And that might not be what Brandon Schmidt and Brandon Bowie and people on the top lane want to see. I would go so far as to say we might see some of these guys try to split the difference and go 3 wide to dispose of the Bolton machine. But make no mistake, he's going to be fighting back just as hard to hold that spot. He's not going to just lay over and give it to him by any means. So, yeah, that could be the wild card in this one, is how the 2 tires of Bolton react and how he reacts behind the wheel, and exactly how this all plays out. So we're about ready to find out, Joe.
This is where the money is made. This is where trophies are had. These are the moments that define a champion. And tonight, in these closing laps, we're going to figure out who's got it, who's got the focus, the fortitude, the strength to be the next winner here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Pace car is down on pit road. Danny Hansen drops the hammer, and no, the 55 spins the wheels, the 36 spins the wheels, and now it's a jailbreak around position number 5. Justin Bolton and company trying to hold off the advances of Cody Bias, Alex Ward and company.
I'm sure they're going to look at that restart, guys, because Danny Hansen went up high, changed lanes on that start prior to the start-finish line. I'm sure they'll look at that, but Danny Hansen just trying to drive and get away from the rest of this field.
Trouble,
Chad Lawton
turn
in the number
4.
26.
Joey Brown up on the outside wall. Now Alex Scribner is in it. Chris Overland catches a piece of it. It was 3 and 4 wide back behind him, Tim, and Joey Brown got sent for a ride. Somehow, well, we were still grading out caution as on the speedway. And Joey Brown once again the pinball as they worked into turn number 3. You saw it in the box here. They were 3 and 4 wide with Ottinger, Eidson, Brown, Ray Alfala. And Alfala backed out of it briefly. Or check that, Eidson backed out. They worked through turn number 3, and then contact was made between Ottinger and Brown. And Brown bounced off the wall, and that's when everybody else caught a piece of it, including Matt Busa, Alex Scribner, as well as the 47 machine of Chris Overland. So, well, Tim, you're partially right. There's one caution on the way back to the end of this one.
Guys, I'm looking at this replay right now, and I know they'll get the replay in the screen or on the box here in just a moment. And I'm scratching my head, guys, trying to figure out what happened between the 12 and the 05. As they go around through turn number 4, either the rear end gave out, the tire gave out, the suspension gave out, the gearbox gave out with the 12 machine, or the netcode struck once again. You watch a replay here, and it really starts around that 4 wide position where 12 to 6, the 05, the 2, they get together going into turns 3 and 4. Now it's 3 wide going into turns 3, through turn 3, into turn 4, right at turn 4 sign. Joey Brown makes contact with the wall, and I'm trying to figure out what caused the Barley Electrical Corporation Chevrolet to get in the wall. Was that the rear end giving out, or has netcode struck twice?
So now we have less than 10 laps to go. Danny Hansen scored as your leader. And Tony, I go back. I don't know if we can get a replay of the restart, but there's that lane change rule that they have in this series. You're not allowed to change lanes prior to the start and finish line. Watch the leader. He goes to the outside line. I don't know if the officials caught that or not, but maybe they'll turn a blind eye to that.
Well, we'll have to see. I mean, it's the leader does control the start of the race, so I guess it's kind of hard to change lanes if you're at the front of the field in all reality. I mean, he's completely clear of anybody, you know, nobody around him, and I don't know. That's by the letter of the rule, Tim, you're correct. By the spirit of the rule, I don't think I can call that one.
I don't know that I want to call that one, to be honest with you, just because of the way we've seen rules enforced and reforced throughout the series here. That's going to be a very interesting one, and I'm going to be very interested to see how the officials call that one, because that will ultimately set a precedent for the rest of the season. It doesn't affect anything, but the way they enforce it will ultimately have set a precedent for how everybody else reacts moving forward in further races. 9 laps to go. We should have at least one more start. Remember, no overdrive finish here in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze series, so we'll get one more restart. Yellow flag comes out, they'll race back, and that's it. That's all she wrote.
And while we're talking about good runs and surprising runs, let's get a camera on the 82 car. We've had a lot of cameras on the 82 car tonight, and we're going to have one more because he's running an 8. He had a couple of mishaps through the infield and through the turn 1 apron and getting punted through a couple of racks. It's been a long night for the PC Computer Pros number 82, but he's given the new sponsor a ride. Right now in position number 8, they're going to have at least one more restart. And we'll see where he shakes out following that 1 or maybe 2. But this might be it, Tony. You might need to get everything that you can here on this restart.
Yeah, that might be it. And sometimes, Tim, that leads to a little bit of fireworks, for lack of a better term. Maybe even a grand finale as they work around one of these corners. Also want to give a call too before we go back to green here in a lap or so to the 43 car, Kwame Ajay, the Wahoo Motorsports machine. He's had that Chevy SS just soldiering on as the race has gone on. Started very deep in the field. In fact, so deep, you couldn't get any deeper. All the way back in 41st. Shotgun on the field for Kwame, and he has worked his way to just outside the top 10 into the 12th spot. So, solid night for Kwame Ajay. He's got some heavy hitters around him, but if he can pull this one off, I think he'll be very satisfied with how this night has gone.
7 laps left to go in this race as Danny Hansen jumps in front of the pace car. Looks like trying to clean off those tires. 7 laps when we go back to green flag racing. That will determine the winner in tonight's race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Danny Hansen still in the lead, has not received a black flag or anything from the officials, so we're going to assume he gets to hold on to that lead. John Lawton in second. Michael Connie, who won 2 weeks ago, getting ready to try it one more time. Brian Schoenberg, look at where he's at. He's now position number 4. And this is going to make for a really entertaining restart here, Tim, because you got the 5 and the 55 side by side. They had problems 2 weeks ago at they had problems 2 weeks ago at Pocono. And having them restart side by side is going to be very dangerous, to say the least.
So you have to get everything that you can here, because if you get more than those 2 laps, we're probably not going back to green. So if you're Danny Hansen, you got to go, and you got to go quickly in order to try to solidify your first win in this series. Brian Schoenberg and Cody Bias, they're trying to do the same thing, trying to get their first career wins in the series. Here we go. The 32 car is on the hammer. He's got his teammate behind him, Mike Conti. 26 spins the tires, and here comes Cody Bias. Bias on the inside looking for position number 3 as Conti and Hansen go. We got trouble.
Caution's out. Brian Schoenberg's in it. Oh, we're still stacking them up. Ray Alfalo, Robert Hall catches a piece of it as well. And just as we talked about Brian Day down the infield grass, you got to get what you can get. And, what was gotten right there was the back bumper of somebody. Brandon Schmidt got into Brian Schoenberg, and that's twice now in 2 races that Brian Schoenberg has been taken out of an opportunity to win or finish well. I don't know what he's got to do to find a 4-leaf clover, but Brian Schoenberg's luck is just horrific here recently, Joe.
So the 55 of Brian Schoenberg is going to have a 4-up race car once again, and you look at the 3 of Brandon Schmidt, Tony. We've seen a couple of these incidents before this evening where the car on the inside would try to get a little bit more, maybe clip the grass, and it just looked like that's what happened. The car clips the grass, gets up into the 55, and Cody Bias is really lucky he didn't get swept up in that. 30 in the 43, also involved. The 58 gets spun by the 2, and then it all ensues from there. There's cars that Brian Day, I think, slowed down enough to possibly get out of this wreck. He actually goes through the grass and gets, that's actually not a bad camera angle if we can get an angle on the 4 of Brian Day going through the grass, because that was pretty neat. He missed everything.
Yeah, he did somehow. I don't know how, but he did. Now being scored in you know, in the 11th spot, looks like, right behind Nick Ottinger of all people. But you know, that's I guess if you miss them, that's the good thing about these yellows, is that you can kind of maneuver your way through the field rather quickly. If you're a piece of the yellows, obviously that's not what you want to see. And Brian Schoenberg, I think, is staying on the racetrack right now, Joe, after just getting absolutely pounded from all directions and all sides multiple times over right in a row. So Brian Schoenberg's going to try to take that bruised and battered and absolutely obliterated machine, struggling to get home, hopefully, to the end of this one. I think he's betting on a caution flag right after the green flag once again to maybe stay in the top 10.
Yeah, the point I was trying to make there, Tony, there was nothing about that was arguable or could be incensed otherwise. There was nothing about that call. No net code, no racing deal. That was all the 3 and the 55 making contact. And once again, the 55 has nothing kind to say. Brian Schoenberg in a world of hurt out there in that car that's just limping around. But that being said, the interesting thing is he might get a decent finish based purely on the law of atrophy. Only 26 cars on the lead lap right now. That is just over half the field.
Yeah, that might be the only good thing about this, Joe, is that there's a lot of attrition happening in this race, and Schoenberg might get a position better than he would if there was less cars that were out of the race. But you see the 55, it was still scored last time at 8th, and now Brian Schoenberg pulls off the racetrack, and it appears that Brian Schoenberg is done. It looked like for a little while there that Schoenberg was going to at least keep a top 10 spot, but he just pulled it on the apron and called it quits. So that's not good for Brian Schoenberg. And he was he needs a good run. Needs a good run in this series, and he's not going to get it here this evening.
No, and that's the bad part, Tim. He's had good runs. He just hasn't had good finishes, and there's a big difference there. And you can hang your hat on that fact when you go back and say, man, we ran strong, we had a shot to win, we were up there in the top 5, but at the end of the day, you look at the stat sheet and go, this sucks. That's basically what you do when you go back and say, I got to find some sort of motivation to keep this going, because it seems like all we do is bust our tail and get wrecked or have something happen. And Joe, confidence in any sport is just as important as actual performance ability. And right now, Brian Schoenberg, I think, has got to be lacking in that department.
Is performance ability a word? Performance ability may not be a word. Okay, it's a word now, I guess. Yeah, I would
It's
agree.
2 words, Joe. It's performance space ability.
I apologize. It's late for everybody out here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Danny Hansen, Michael Connie get them side by side, lined up once again. And I think what would be most heartbreaking for Brian Schoenberg is if Michael Connie goes on to win this race again for a second time after his teammate gets wrecked out, after Schoenberg gets wrecked out. But we'll find that out here as we go to a green-white checkered finish. This will be the closest thing to overdrive we have, guys. And guess what? There's only one shot at it. We mess up now, there's another yellow flag between now and then. It's over.
It's either going to be a green-white checker or a green caution checker of the two. If the caution flag does fly within the next lap, then the race is over. If the caution flag flies on the white flag lap, the sim will not trigger the caution flag, and we will race back to the stripe. The 32 of Danny Hansen looking for his first win in this series. The 5 of Mike Conti in second. The 26 of Chad Lawton in third. Cody Bias and Justin Bolton is still in position number 5 here, looking to steal something here. Danny Hansen needs the restart of his sim racing career in order to lock this thing down. Pace car is in, and the 32 car is going to bring us to green. The 5 is on the hammer on the outside. He's got room on the inside if he wants to drop down. 26, 27, and 3 going at it. Brandon Schmidt like a bull in the china shop going for 4th.
Schmidt going for it. Note for Brandon Dewey fans, that car not up to speed on the restart. He'll fall to the tail of the field like an anchor as they work into turn number 3. This time out of the final corner. White flag will be in the air. Not much time left for Chad Lawton, Mike Conti, Brandon Schmidt. Final trip around the 1.5 mile, Charlotte Motor Speedway, Joe. Danny Hansen, the perfect 1.5 mile. He's going to have to perform right now.
Danny Hansen doing everything he can to defend that line. He's going to hold it into the back stretch. Here comes Michael Conti, though. He's going to look down low. Chad Lawton's going to look down low as well. Going into turn 3 and 4, Lawton trying to steal away second.
Chad Lawton going to take second, but that's all it is. At a corner number 4, Danny Hansen comes up to the checkered flag. First-time winner at Charlotte. First-time winner in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing. Chad Lawton comes home in second. Michael Conti, Brandon Schmidt, Cody Bias, your top 5. But it's Danny Hansen coming home with his first career victory. And I'm sure Danny is happy about this one. Gets congratulations from his teammate. That is the GSR Pro Geek Consulting Ford Fusion. And he will come back and he'll do a little bit of celebrating here, Tony.
Yes, he will. Very deservedly so for Danny Hansen. Had a stellar race and did exactly what it takes to win one of these long marathon events, and that's be solid early, be good, and slowly improve on your race car. Slowly make yourself a challenger, and then by the time that everybody realizes who they're racing for the win, it's a little too late, and you've already got an ace up your sleeve. Danny Hansen going to take Pro Geek back to victory lane. First time, as we said, on his car, and first time in his career. What a night for Danny Hansen. This is one he's going to remember, Joe.
What a night, what a win. Tonight he's able just to survive, just to work his way through the field, and this is what patience buys you, kids. This is what a good night, a solid night will make it work for you. He found a way to make it work, and here he is. He's now got his first career win of the night, and he can he's got his first career win here at Charlotte, and more importantly, he's got himself a nice little boost going into the latter half of the season.
So a quick look at what was behind your winner, Danny Hansen. There's some 2 and 3 wide action there. Pretty exciting coming to the stripe in that one. We'll step away. We'll set you up for the post-race show, and we'll talk to Danny Hansen and the rest of the top 5. Don't go away.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.
This is where it gets difficult. This is where your name's on the line, everything's on the line. You get that one chance to go out there and put down your best performance with the most amount of pressure.
So you got to take this race car, this whole new group of people, go to the racetrack, somehow impress them, and oh, by the way, you got to do it now. It's now or never.
First thing that went through my mind was like, no way.
Just be real important to try to figure out how to keep the tires under him and run a smart 150 laps.
They might bump him around a little bit, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Everybody should enter next year's contest because you never know what could happen, man. You can come out here and run top 5 in your first K&N West race. So I'm so psyched right now. This is incredible.
Welcome back to the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series, powered by iRacing.com, and Danny Hansen comes away with his first career victory in the series in the GSR Pro Geek Consulting Ford Fusion after leading 19 laps here this evening to the win. Chad Lawton, your point leader, comes home in second. Michael Conti in third. Brandon Schmidt, Cody Bias complete your top 5. It's Justin Bolton in position number 6. 7 is Nick Ottinger, Jake Sturgis, Alex Warren with a couple less body panels than he started the race with in 9, and Trey Eidson completes your top 10. Nice run for Brian Day in 11th. Kenny Humpy, Matt Busa, Rob Ackley, Tom Lewandowski complete your field. Danny Hansen is your winner. He's pulled into victory lane, and I believe Joe Cortez is down there with a jubilant first-time winner in the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series.
This streak continues of not only first-time winners, but more importantly, the unique winners here. We've had a handful of different races, every one with a different winner, and now Danny Hansen will take that crown. Danny, how big is this? It's Charlotte, it's the longest race of the season, and you've just claimed your first career win. How big is this combination for you, buddy? I'm
absolutely speechless. I did not know what type of feelings I would have after winning that race, and that's unlike anything I've ever felt in this game. It's a lot of hard work paying off.
A lot of hard work definitely paid off tonight. You had to be very patient. You have to really craft your time and move your way up through this field. What was the secret for you? Was it being patient? Was it working your way through? Was it pit strategy? What was really the secret that made it all come together for you and the team tonight?
We really weren't sure about how good the car was going to be going into the run, and I was, again, probably the biggest complainer on the whole team, going into the race, and made a few tweaks in the last minute that really fit my driving style, and I about still lost it off before, so I got to thank Conti for checking up for me there. But just getting the car to a point that was very, very comfortable for myself, and it's the changes that I made to make the car comfortable made it very good in the long run.
Let me ask you this real quick. You've got the first win under your belt. You got arguably the biggest race of one of the biggest races of this season. How does this change your complexion on the season? Are we going to see more wins out of you and the Pro Geek Consulting team?
I don't know, dude. I don't think it really has hit me yet that we actually finally brought one of these things home. We've had cars, Auto Club and Pocono, that were very, very close to getting it done, but wasn't expecting that this week. So we're going to be setting pretty good in the points after this, but we could be setting better. But we're going to keep digging as hard as we can.
I'll know you've got a big celebration left here to do with you and the team. I'll let you get to that. Before I let you go, though, any shout-outs you want to give anyone you'd like to thank? Microphone's all yours.
Oh, yeah. I got a laundry list of sponsors and people that made this happen. Pro Geek Consulting, awesome sponsor. Really happy to bring him home a win. I don't know if they were expecting it this season, but we're glad to have that done. RCRL, David Akeney, making my adjustments on the car. Made it perfect tonight. Garrett Smithley Racing, big supporter. Go check them out. Garrett Smithley, racing.com. Jeremy Lukasgan, everybody over at J Show Motorsports. Best teammates in the world. Conti did all he could do there for me to protect. He could have threw it in, but can't thank him enough. That was a lot of his help there to solidify that, and JDR Graphics for making the car look good.
Danny Hansen showing up for his first career win here tonight at Charlotte. Danny, congratulations, and I'm sure it's a prelude of bigger and better things to come.
Thank you.
Danny Hansen finishing first tonight in the Pro Geek Consulting Ford. Let's kick it over to Tony Stevens, who's caught up with our second place finisher, Chad Lawton.
Yeah, it's caught up with Chad Lawton. And Chad, it seems like you dominated a lot of this race, and for the longest time we thought might have had the car to win. What was the difference at the end? Was it just an adjustment away, or was it just the simple fact that the 32 was that good?
Danny was good, but truthfully I felt like Humpy had the best car, but he just seemed to not get track position like I had, and I felt like I had a dominating second fast car behind Kenny. It was just Danny was fast, but not to be a poor sport. It was just Bolton taking 2 tires right there and me having to be on the outside. I was battling restarts all night, and having him take 2 tires and on the inside, it just kind of messed up, my rhythm and all that. So I mean, it's part of racing, and take a second place any day, and I believe I still come out as a points leader. So I'm still things to be happy about. But it's tough to get a win in this series, man. I've Texas and now here at Charlotte, I feel like I've had really good cars and haven't been able to close. So need to work on that. But other than that, it was a good little race tonight.
Of course, you talk about having good cars. 2 weeks from now, we go to the Dover International Speedway. Very different racetrack, high speed, high paint, almost bull ring, even though it's a mile long. Anything you could take from tonight to use at Dover?
Just to continue to race smart and put myself in good situations and not, not hinder my, abilities and all that. But Dover's one of my favorite tracks. I want to say I'm really good there, so I'm looking forward to that. And with the setups that when I went back to the team with Kenny Humpy and Rich and Kevin King, I went back over there, and the setups that they have are really good. So I'm looking forward to Dover, and I want to get one of these wins this season, and I'm hoping it can come soon.
Let's Chad Lawton finishes second here tonight at Charlotte, and will retain the point lead heading to the Monster Mile in 2 weeks. Tim?
And I've caught up with Mike Conti, driver of the third place car this evening at number 5. And Mike, it was a very exciting finish to that race. Your teammate ends up in victory lane, and you were right there vying for that victory as well.
Yeah, we had a great race for Jay's show on our anniversary. I'm very happy that Danny was finally able to get a win. He's been really close, and he did a good job tonight, and we coordinated everything properly. So that was very fun. See him get a win. I wish Brian could have been up there too, and he almost had it, but unfortunately got caught up in a wreck at the end there. But like I said, I'm very happy. I can't thank all my sponsors enough. Butto Gaming Cockpits, Jeremy Lukaska at Jeremy Lukaska, RCRL. The RCRL is a great league on here, so I'm really happy to represent them as well. So we had a great race, and everybody did a good job up until the end. A few too many cautions, but good job overall.
You're going to move up the point standings a little bit as well. You came in 7th in the standings, 10 points behind. You're the point leader, Chad Lawton. What is your mindset going into 2 weeks' time at Dover?
I'm excited for Dover. I've always run really well there when the car was cooperating, and I'm sure we'll have a good car there. We've been really strong since this new build came out. Obviously, we're really good at Pocono. Would have had a 1-2 finish there, possibly something along those lines. Maybe 1-2-3. Everything would have worked out right. But Dover should be a good race for all of us. We all run really well there. Danny ran well there last year. Brian did. And I think I finished well too. I can't remember all these races, kind of warp into each other. But we'll be good. Cars will be good. Tom Lewandowski is doing a great job getting these setups put together well. I'm helping as much as I can, but he did a great job today to get us some speed late in the going. So we're going to be good at Dover. Brian and I, we raced well tonight, so there's no worry about retaliation, which seemed to be on quite a few people's minds. So there's no retaliation there. There's nothing to make of that. We're both professionals. He's been doing this a long time, and so have I. So we're going to race each other like teammates, and we did that tonight. So it'll be no different at Dover. So we'll have a good run there, absolutely.
Working his way up from the 15th place position this evening, Mike Conti finishes in position number 3. And Joe, if it's anything like it was this evening, Jay's show is going to be real tough when we go to Dover in 2 weeks' time. I believe you've caught up with 4th place finisher Brandon Schmidt.
One guy that might not be terribly popular with that J Show crew is driver the number 3 machine, Brandon Schmidt. And Brandon, before we go any further, walk us through what happened between you and the 55 of Brian Schoenberg in that incident.
Well, I haven't looked at the replay yet, but I felt like I was just taking the natural flow up, to take my entry into 1. And, I thought he was maybe on me, a little tighter. And I might have came up a little bit, but, I can't go into the corner, flat out on the bottom. It's just not going to work. And, if anything, it's a racing deal. And, if the officials say it was my fault, then it is.
At that point, were you worried that a top 5 finish was out of the cards for you? When all that happened, were you concerned at all that this may not play out the way you want to, especially with that green, white, checkered finish?
No, I didn't want to see the caution, obviously. I mean, I would have much rather had him, us not got together, obviously. But the last thing I wanted was another caution, because obviously, you're just spacing and you can't gain more spots. And I felt like if we could have ran that thing to the end, definitely had a shot at the win, but definitely had a shot at maybe a top 3 or so.
Top 4 isn't terribly bad, though. This has got to be one of your better finishes in quite a while. How do you build off this for the rest of the season? I
don't know. I mean, I'm not a big fan of this tire model, and I told myself if I had a bad race tonight, then I was probably done, because I'm not a fan of this tire, and I think Dover's going to be really bad. But it is what it is, and just my strategy already for next race at Dover is just to miss the wrecks.
Brandon, you got some TV time. Anyone want to thank?
Yeah, everyone at Last Row Motorsports for the help on the setup and everything, and it was really a lot of work put into it. And Nate Choder, my spotter, and obviously Peak Appliance, my sponsor.
Brandon Schmidt finishing 4th tonight in number 3 machine. Brandon, best of luck to you avoiding those wrecks at Dover in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Tony Stevens caught up now, the driver of that number 27 machine. Cody Bias finishing 5th.
Yes, and Cody, probably one of the most impressive runs over the course of the night. There were a couple of others who charged from the back of the field, but Cody, you started deep in the field outside row number 15 and 30th. How in the world did you work your way up to 5th, the checkered flag?
Oh man, it was really intense all race. The car was really good on the long run. I was just hoping for long green flag runs, and the car was actually better than I expected to be. Before going into tonight, I thought maybe a top 15, 16 range, but since the race got underway, the car just came to life and drove up into the top 10, and then just got a little front end damage, fell back, and then had to drive my way back up to the front in the last part of the race, and somehow managed to get a top 5 out of it, and I couldn't be any happier about it.
What kind of confidence does this do now for the rest of the season? In particular, going to Dover in 2 weeks' time, a racetrack that is quite a monster, to say the least.
I mean, for the confidence level, it's got to be high. I mean, I've been running top 5, top 7 in every MPA S race I've been in this season, and I couldn't finish the deal. And now that I've finished the deal, I feel like I can just build off of this and hope for better. And going to Dover, I really enjoy that place. And Charlotte's one of my better tracks, and I know it doesn't come easy, so it's going to be a lot of hard work to be competitive at Dover, but I think we can do it.
Well, that's Cody Bias, finishes 5th here tonight in his number 27 car, guys.
Final thoughts from the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Exciting race. Lots of cautions in that one, Tony. 11 of them to be exact for almost a quarter of the laps that were run this evening. But we have a first-time winner. It's great to see Danny Hansen finally get that monkey off his back. And he mentioned it, Tony, there could very well be a championship run now with the way this season's been going for that 32 team.
It really could, Tim. And we're still in the early part of the season. We're in the first half. And as we've seen tonight, all kinds of crazy things can happen. A lot of people we thought would be championship contenders have had issues. Ray Alfala, defending champ Tyler Hudson had issues tonight. Nick Ottinger, although he recovered to finish well in 7th, had issues tonight. So it's certainly not over. And this seems to be one of the most interesting seasons as far as how things work. It's so volatile at the top of the standings that really anybody still has a shot at this one the way things have been going. And it wouldn't surprise me if we see some contenders emerge late in the season in the last 5 or 6 races either.
Well, remember, time is also running out for all these drivers out here because they have that chase coming up at the end of the season. You have to, now is the go time. Now is where you really have to really position yourself in order to be in that place, to be in championship contention at the end of this season. If you don't start now, you can still come get the invite back, but not the same way. It's not the same as winning $10,000 at the end of the season. It's going to be very interesting to see if Brandon Schmidt's premonition comes true in 2 weeks. Will the tires play a role at Dover? Only one way to find out. Jonah's back here in 2 weeks.
And that's our next race for the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series powered by iRacing.com. That is 2 weeks' time at Dover. But keep in mind, before we get there, we do have coverage of the iRacing.com Indianapolis 500. The Friday night split comes up at 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday. That's going to be an exciting race. If you want to get involved in the iRacing.com, Indianapolis 500. Go to iRacing.com, get signed up, and put yourself into one of those brand new Indy cars to get on the racetrack, and you might even see yourself here on PSR TV on the Friday night split. That's going to do it for us here this evening. So for the entire crew, Ilka Hapola, Zach Stanko, Paul, we have Matt Racing, Kid Thomas, Chuck Johnson, Ian Bushing, Tony Stevens, Joe Cortez. My name is Tim Terry. I apologize if I forgot anybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time. We say let's go racing from the Dover International Speedway. Keep the hammer down. We'll see you at the track.
What's inside Peak Antifreeze? 65 years of experience in hot and cold protection. From an independent, family-owned business that's never been afraid to give you exactly what's right for your engine and your wallet. Peak. Run true.